I'm here. Welcome to Three Count Commentary. This is your host, MongoSlade. Uh, Today I um had a lot on my plate. I had quite a bit on the plate because there's just so much to discuss, and of course, there's a lot of people who are very upset about the Usos being named PWI's number one tag team. There's a lot of people upset about that for apparently no reason. There's a lot of people upset. I I teetered tottered with the idea of going with that as the main subject of today's show. At the same time, I said, well, if I do that, what am I going to talk about on Friday? Then I said, well, these streams they're kind of bric-a-brac. You know, they're kind of a little of this, a little of that. You know, not a whole lot of one thing. So I know some people maybe were waiting on this, but we're actually going to do the Usos, STR, Young Bucks, everybody, the Briscoes, everybody being very mad. We're going to do that in a separate video. Let's do that out front. This video will be about three main topics. I do want to get to sleep at some point. We're going to talk about Sasha Banks. Apparently, she's going to be at New Japan at some point. We're going to be talking about Stephanie McMahon and the audio is bad. Hold on, let me check the audio real quick. Let's see what's going on here with this audio. Audio is bad. Audio? Let me check the audio real quick. Let's see what's going on here with this audio. It sounds about the same to me. I don't know. Anybody else having problems with the audio? Is the audio off? Anybody else having problems with the audio? Let's see. Let's turn it here. See if this works. Okay. It's not letting me change the audio. Okay. What's going on here? Okay. I sound like a drive-through. Oh shit. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's change it. All right. Is that better? Is that better? If that's better, then if that works for everybody, we'll just go with this. Is this better? All right. So I had it I tried to hook it up through my Bluetooth, so that was the problem. And apparently the Bluetooth audio isn't that great. All right. All right. So as I was saying, Sasha Banks and New Japan. That stuff just kind of dropped a couple of minutes ago. So that's going to be one of the things that we talk about. It's going to be the lead story. Second, Stephanie McMahon and her desire to get into boxing. Yes, Stephanie McMahon wants to get into boxing. We're going to talk about that. And if anything interesting pops up on this Shawn Michaels deadline thing, which it doesn't seem like it did. It doesn't look like anything interesting actually popped up involving this. Then we'll talk about that. But we also got some other things to discuss. Netflix, their CEO, does not want to get into sports. So that's an interesting thing that we might have to talk about here, considering there's going to be some rights fees up soon. And everybody's going to be looking out for cash, and now they can't count on Netflix. So that's unfortunate. So also, Josh Alexander is going to explain to us why he decided to stay with Impact, as if anybody cares. We also got an article on wrestling ratings and why we shouldn't care about those, even though I know most of us don't. It's an interesting thing, and it's kind of defending Impact. So I might take a look at that. But there's a lot of stuff going here.
There's a lot of stuff going on here. So let's get started. 5 minutes in. Welcome, everybody. Thanks everybody for showing up. Uh, Sasha Banks dropped on, well, it was whispered about on the internet for a little bit. It was whispered about for, I don't know, just a maybe a couple of hours that Sasha Banks was going over to New Japan. And then on her Twitter account, I believe it was, or it was her Instagram, I'm sorry, she posted a picture of herself and Kyrie, the former Kyrie Sane, and saying that it's very interesting. Um, she's been sort of teasing the whole jump to stardom since, I don't know, since her last time she ran away from home. And I haven't looked at the card for Wrestle Kingdom. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at it now while y'all are bringing it up. Is it really? Is it really is it really a surprise? It wasn't really a surprise to me that she might want to jump to New Japan, because Stardom is in Japan, and she has always idolized Stardom. You know, she went over there and trained when she first ran away from home last time. So apparently, you know, she's like every kid. She runs away from home and she acts like, you know, she she has somewhere else to go. Then she turns around to come back. But we'll see. We'll also look. I'll take a look. I'm looking at this card for Wrestle Kingdom 17, and I gotta say it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I mean, we got a more Jay White and Okada, more of that. Um, So Anonymous TV stole my. I was taking too long to get there, so you was right to cut me off. I hope Sasha Banks is gone, baby. Man, you don't have no idea how much fun we could have if Sasha Banks take all of those stand accounts and takes them over to New Japan. I saw somebody say something that was very funny, that all of the New Japan, you know how what was this, TV Ahashi, how they act about people posting clips in New Japan, they gonna get this shit struck. And how hilarious it will be when the crew tries to repost all of this Sasha Banks material, only for that shit to get cut down, for them to get their whole accounts taken down. Oh God, it's gonna be excellent. But as far as I know, and I don't know that much because I wasn't present during the negotiations or anything like that, is that she probably won't be wrestling at this show, but that she will be making an appearance, and will likely, and it might be an appearance where it leads to a match later on. Now, some people believe, and I'm not sure how true it is, that she's probably going to do a couple of shots in Japan and then come back. Like she might go work a match or two and then turn around and come back. Some people are saying like this is going to be similar to the Shinsuke Nakamura thing, which that's only one match. He's working with Noah. That's only one match. I can see Triple H and the Office saying, okay, we're going to let Nakamura do it. We kind of have to let the girls do it too, because that's just how WWE is now. Even though she hasn't worked for us in months, we're going to, you know, turn a blind eye to her working in Japan. And it's also something, it was a loophole that Brock Lesnar actually used in order to work in Japan back when he left WWE. And what year was that? 2004, where he left WWE. He floated around, did football, did some other things, but technically he was still under WWE contract. And they were preventing him from wrestling in other places. Speaking of which, I forgot to mention that Brock Lesnar offered to go work for TNA, and TNA turned him down. They didn't want to pay what he wanted in terms of money. We'll talk about that too. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make sure we get that, because Kurt Angle talked about that on his podcast. So I definitely want to get to that. But this thing is interesting because the loophole that Brock used allowed him to go to Japan and make money, and he thought that WWE was going to show up and pull the cord and everything, but that didn't happen. You know, they just let him work in Japan. So maybe that's what Sasha Banks is doing. Maybe she says, okay, this is a loophole. I can't work in any wrestling promotion in the United States, but she can work in Mexico if she wants to. She can do New Japan if she wants to. Maybe that's the deal. She ran away from home, and now she's going to jump from place to place. She's apparently just wrapped a movie from what some people are telling me. And that's going to be very interesting. So now that we know that it might happen, you know, it would be a big coup for New Japan. The buzz would last about a month before nothing moves, because it takes New Japan forever to capitalize on things. That's the thing about Japan. You can have a really great idea, you can have a really great angle or whatever. It just literally takes them forever to capitalize on something. So let's say they do get Mercedes or Sasha Banks or what was the other names that she had? Monet, Mercedes Monet or something like that. And all this kind of stuff. If they manage to get her to show up, and how long will it take for them to actually have the match? You know, so that's my question. They build up the match with Kyrie, and then it takes them a month to get to the damn match. You're not going to have it the next day or the next weekend, or it's going to take them forever, in order to have the damn match. And then the match is going to be basically in a broom closet. It may be big in Japan. It might be. We don't know. I'm going to guess it would be, because it's it would be her first match outside of WWE in years. But I would really think about their ability to capitalize on it. I would really consider that. So I would be glad Sasha Banks is gone, because I'm tired of her and her shit. It is absolutely awful. It is awful. Her fan base is absolutely atrocious, and they're incredibly embarrassing. It's incredibly embarrassing. But I know that the money is probably going to be nice, though. Like, I know the money is going to hit, because Japan, that's one thing they always got, is they pay well over there. Because they got to pay for you to travel and everything too. So yeah, they pay is going to be great. If you thought that $30K she was getting to go to like a Comic-Con or something like that, she about to get a grip to go to Japan to wrestle one match, maybe two. I mean, if she decides to continue working over there, that could be fun. But the style, though, and I know some people are asking that question. What about the style? Can she work the style? To be quite honest, she's a big enough star that even if she can't, it wouldn't matter. They had China in Japan working with fucking Masahiro Chono, but because China couldn't work a lick, and nobody ever said that she could, but they kept utilizing her because she had a good name, and the simp bucks that she's going to get out of Japan is going to be crazy. The simp bucks, oh my God. She got an exotic look. She's an American, unless they're super racist. She's probably going to have people buying all kind of plushies of her. But I think the opportunity is there, and she should probably take it. If the opportunity is there and the office, whoever is in the office making these decisions, is like, go do your thing, I think that she should go ahead and do her thing. If she gets seriously injured or something like that, then what? Let's say she works a match and she gets dropped on her head, which happens a lot in Stardom. she get kicked in the dome piece or something like that. So, who knows? But the thing about Bob Sapp, he was loved in Japan, but he was like a huge mountain of muscle. I'm not sure. But again, Sasha Banks is a global celebrity. They probably saw her on TV, and this is one of the few times they actually get to see her in person. So that could be a little bit different. But without knowing the details, it's going to be hard to know whether this thing is going to work out or not. But it is very interesting. I'm interested. It'll get me to watch Wrestle Kingdom, because I want to see what she will do. Now, as far as her going over to AEW, well, I mean, if she wants to, that would be funny, because I can guarantee you AEW would blow their load within a month of well, she's the tease is for her to wrestle Kyrie Ellie Hankerson, the former Kyrie Sane in WWE. That's the tease. The tease is for her to wrestle Kyrie, because Kyrie is now the New Japan Pro Wrestling IWGP Women's Champion. So they created a new women's title that now there's women's matches on New Japan, which they said they would never do. So that's already something that, the company is starting to broaden their horizons, because they already said they weren't going to do that. They were going to not change their format at all. But my thing is, if you're going to have women's matches on your New Japan show, why even have Stardom? What's the point? Just put the women on New Japan, save yourself some money. But in any event, if she wrestles in New Japan and she gets hurt, man, and that fucks with her WWE return, it would do nothing but prove Vince right that all these years, these people should not be wrestling outside of WWE. But that's assuming they even care, and they could just be trying to wait her contract out. Who knows? We don't know the details. But it's an interesting thing to discuss. So let's go through this. What about Naomi is a question. Take Naomi and her stands too. Yeah, the weird thing is that I think Naomi posted a picture of her she was with some celebrity. Who was that celebrity she was with? And she was talking about women don't have attitudes, we have standards or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like you wouldn't. What is your standard? You was a goddamn cheerleader. What standard? What was your standards, young lady? I don't know, man. I guess she was in the business for 10 years, but she was a backup dancer and everything. Like she wasn't like out here breaking down the walls. Mercedes is going to AEW, not New Japan. Well, what's the difference? She could do both. I think she has made up her mind. I'm him 24/7. I don't know. It'll be an interesting thing. Kenny Omega will book Sasha Strong. Look, like I said, the AEW, they hired the highest profile wrestler they could possibly hire, which was CM Punk. And they managed to botch that within 6 months. In a little over a year, everybody left. Everybody took off. All right. It just splintered. So there's no doubt in my mind that if Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, or whatever the hell, was to jump ship to AEW, it'd be hot business for a grand total of 2 or 3 months. As soon as she get done with that first feud and that first pay-per-view match, it's going to go downhill, because at that point it's going to be, who does she feud with? She's going to have a long feud with Britt Baker, and then what? And then what? It's going to be exactly what they did with CM Punk. They immediately put him in there with Darby Allin. Had a decent feud with Darby Allin. Then we teased and teased until we finally got the MJF feud, which lasted for most of CM Punk's run in WWE. And then after that, then what? He won the title, and that was it. So I don't know. So I mean, it's just sad times, man. Yeah, they're gonna botch that shit real quick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she should trademark everything. I know that's one of the things that she said that she was going to do is start trying to own her own characters and stuff like that. So that's smart. Oh, she was with Jade Cargill. Okay, so Naomi was hanging out with Jade. All right, that's not bad. I thought she was hanging out like a real celebrity. I mean, not to say that Jade Cargill is a fake celebrity, but Naomi is more of a celebrity than Jade. I thought she was hanging out with like Megan Thee Stallion or something like that. In any event, that's nice. Maybe Naomi wants to go to AEW. Okay, that's fine. I don't see how it changes anything. She's going to go through the humiliation ritual of you couldn't cut it in WWE. You spent 10 years and blah, 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 blah. All you did was dance. And she's going to go out there and have a really botchy match. And, but people are going to be very excited for a short amount of time. And then 6 months later, it's going to be back to the drawing board, which is very strange that people are very concerned and worried that guys are going to jump ship to AEW. And it's like you currently have on AEW some guys who left WWE with a lot of goodwill. Miro, Malachi Black, Andrade. They're not being utilized properly in AEW. They're just not. So I don't see why the women would get treated any better. I just don't see why that would be. Get that guap though. I'm all about that. They should go ahead and get that money. Get it, whatever they can out of these people. Whatever it takes. It says AEW are closet WWE fanboys. They fail to see to be a legitimate threat because they have no sense of identity. WCW did, which is why they were winning the Monday Night Wars. Well, here's the thing, Ali Hankerson, and I'm glad you brought up a sense of identity, because what WCW did was not have a sense of identity, but violently reject the identity that they had built. That's really what worked. Is that the NWO was a violent rejection of the good old boy Southern wrestling that the NWA had built up. This is why Hogan was never fully accepted in WCW in the first place, because he was coming into a promotion that was not geared towards him and then turned the company to something that better worked for him. And people didn't appreciate that. They didn't like that. So it didn't really work out. And the NWO was something that was completely new and was completely different. And then it went about, squashing the Four Horsemen, which were the good old boys of the NWA, went around, just put their boot all on their neck. So there was a kind of a violent rejection and trying to build a new identity for WCW. And it just failed to really materialize because people want change, but they also want the status quo. It's just like comic books. Like we want things to change, but we also want things to go back to what they were. Like we don't want to live in chaos forever. We want a new normal. So everybody wanted the chaos of the NWO to be brought into WCW and to do their thing. Everybody wanted that. That was great. But we also wanted it to go back to good old boy Sting is the hero. He beats them. End of story. The invasion is stopped. And now things can go back to the way they used to be. That's also the way we wanted it, So unfortunately, it didn't happen. So that sucks. Now the idea of CM Punk going back to WWE, I don't believe that. I think he's just posting teasers. He's trolling people as far as I'm concerned. He posted, I think, 2 Instagram pictures. One was him on the top rope with Festus in the background. The second was a picture of him and Mickie James. And him and Mickie James, they go back, way back to like TNA when they were together in TNA. But we never know what the hell he's got going on in his mind or why. There's also a lot of chitter-chatter about him being ready to leave, but AEW ain't ready to let him go or whatever. They're not going to buy out his contract. They may have heard some stuff. Who knows if they even have that choice or have that option. But It's not as interesting to me as it would be. You know, would it be a game changer if CM Punk was to join WWE? Yes. You know, it would be huge because it would be everybody comes home eventually. But it would be unfortunate within the first couple of months because he would immediately want something, some kind of concession. He would, get rid of the writers. I want to be the main event. I want to be the guy who beats Roman Reigns. It's gonna be, ugh. And I don't think Roman probably won't even want that. And Roman probably be like, "Fuck this! I want to go home." Steven says, "Could you imagine if Sasha Banks did go to AEW? Her ego is already through the roof. She would have heat with so many girls backstage, especially Jade." I think that she'll have heat with everybody, especially Britt Baker, because again, you're standing away from Britt Baker's house. Kratos, Sasha Banks is about to make all the Japanese islands stand 6 feet away from her for a photo. Guy's gonna have to go back so goddamn far. He ain't gonna be able to barely see her face. Them pictures gonna be weird as hell. Weird as hell pictures. And she gonna be leaning in like, and he gonna be on the other side of the goddamn room or something like that. Don't touch me, please. Don't look at me. Don't look me directly in the eyes. Yes, Bocce. Naomi is one of the best women's wrestlers. I don't know about that. No, I did not see the Venus Eagle comments about Kanye West. I did not see that. AEW must focus on homegrown wrestlers. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't, depending on the situation. Synonymous TV says, the thing with people jumping over to AEW has lost its pop since Vince retired and Triple H got in the writer's room. Don't nobody care. Well, even back then, I didn't care. I think there was a momentum with AEW that people really enjoy. And I think that most smart people, again, I was one of those people, I hate to say this because, it makes me sound like I'm a super genius, but it spoke for it. Once something is in motion, the momentum is tremendous, but it can't be in motion forever. Eventually, you're going to hit something. You're going to trip over something. Something's going to fall over, and it's going to change. And I remember when CM Punk came in, a lot of the journalists and everybody was like, "Oh, that's it. That's it. AEW's about to take over. It's about to be a whole new ball game." And then Danielson came in, and they were like, "Holy shit, AEW's got the best roster in the business." And then Adam Cole came in, and they were like, "Holy shit, this is the best roster of all time." And then, Kyle O'Reilly came in, and a bunch of people came in, and everybody was so excited. And I just kept saying, "Yep, bring in as many as you can. You can't sustain it anymore." The CM Punk thing, you couldn't go higher than that. The only way you can go higher than that is if you get The Rock or John Cena or Stone Cold Steve Austin to pop up in AEW. That's the only way you can get it, and those guys ain't doing it. None of them. None of them are jumping ship to AEW. So there's not much you can do. And look, Tony Khan's got the money of a Saudi prince, but what are you going to do with this talent that you're going to pay all this money for? And that's really what I was questioning myself when I saw all of these guys getting brought in. I'm like, okay, you can't push all of them at once. So what were you going to do? And at the time, he was in the middle of pushing fucking Hangman Page. And you're like, okay, just do you. Do you. But I think it was an interesting time. It was an interesting 6 months for AEW. Punk came in August. Danielson and Adam Cole came in September. That's back-to-back months. Everything, business increased quite a bit. But 6 months later, people were complaining about Adam Cole's body type. People were grumbling about Kenny Omega and, or not, was it Kenny Omega? No, it was Adam. By this point, Hangman Page was the champion. And Danielson couldn't beat him. So people were starting to grumble about that. They were still happy because CM Punk was still doing stuff. But everybody else was kind of like, so it was impossible to maintain that. The reason why Matt Riddle was written off was because Randy Orton is returning at the Royal Rumble. If you listen to what his dad said, okay, that would be interesting. But why does Riddle have to be written off because Randy Orton's coming back? I don't know. I think Triple H believes that he can fix all the heat that Alto Johnson. CM Punk is toxic everywhere he goes. Why would you want all that heat? I think Triple H believes that he can fix it. That's why. I think Triple H believes that he has more magic than Vince. And he can fix a lot of the problems that Vince created in some ways, or his ego is not in the way as much. And I think he started believing that when the whole Bruno thing happened, because Vince couldn't make up with Bruno, but Triple H did. And then all of a sudden it was like, Triple H has the magic touch. He's going to call everybody and bring them back under the... Except for the people who have heat with Triple H, by the way. And CM Punk is one of them. Ellie Hankerson says, thinking about it now, I think the Monday Night Wars were much more tribalistic than now. No, it wasn't. I lived through those days. Most people who watched Nitro liked Nitro and Raw. You just probably liked Nitro a little bit more than Raw. And vice versa. Like I liked Raw a little bit more than Nitro. That doesn't mean I didn't like Nitro. It just meant I liked Raw better. And most people who were WCW fans, they had the exact same concept. Now, today, it's total hatred. You're a objectively bad person if you're a WWE fan. It's like you're objectively, because they've had 20 years of Vince is a monopoly, it's the evil empire. It's been 30 years of that shit. Because it was happening before WCW really even took off. So it's far more tribalistic now, and then you also had the TNA days, because the TNA days were pretty tribalistic too. They weren't as bad because, TNA never got to the level of rivaling WWE, but it was pretty bad then too. It sucked. Those TNA Ring of Honor days, that shit sucked. Those message boards were the shits. With people spamming Jay Briscoe and all them kind of the AJ Styles flippity doodah move of the week or whatever the hell. It was annoying as shit. But it's got nothing on today. Today is a microcosm of Democrats and Republicans. That's essentially what wrestling has become. Like there is no moderate. Like the moderate person is the person who is getting attacked by both sides, really. Because you miss Kyle O'Reilly, TN Pyro. Well, I'm pretty sure you and his wife are the only two. Alto Johnson imagining Sasha Banks in Ring of Honor. Oh no. That would be a big waste of money. That'd be a huge waste of money. Yes, Umaga's son is training with Booker T. That was very cool. I like that. And I also liked it because Umaga did some training with Booker T. So that was great. That's really good stuff. So he's not going to be ready anytime soon. I think he's fairly young. I think he's like 20 or something like that. Like he's basically a kid. So he's not ready anytime soon. But, just knowing that he's out there is pretty cool. If he has any of his dad's agility, it'll be really great. I'm glad that everybody's giving Umaga so much credit now. I love that. I love that for them and the family. Because Umaga was one of the guys who I looked at him when he came in, and I wasn't thrilled about the gimmick, but his matches were so good. Like, I remember watching Umaga and Jeff Hardy from the Great American Bash. What was that, 2008, maybe 2007? I watched that match 100 times. I loved Umaga and Jeff Hardy working together. They were so good. And then they shit on him. They shit on Umaga so hard, having him lose to Santino Marella, and then the repeated losses to Lashley. It was so ugh. But I guess that's when he started getting in trouble. I'm guessing that's when they started popping him for drugs and stuff like that. And they just decided, we're gonna steamroll the bulldozer. We're gonna steamroll him. But he had some really good matches with John Cena too. Man, he was fucking good. He was fucking great. Yeah, people have been complaining about Adam Cole's body since NXT, but I think it became far more prominent in AEW because it became more obvious. I think people was paying more attention. You know, I don't remember that many people. You know, everybody just said he was small, but when you see him in AEW, he just came across like he was emaciated. It was awful. It was just not good. Uh, so that was pretty crazy. Okay. Yeah, see, wrestling Twitter and YouTube has become a war zone. It's awful. It's awful. And it's incredibly toxic. That shit is literally poison. It will everything that you touch in terms of wrestling Twitter, it just turns into absolute uh chaos. You know, the moment you mention, you don't even need to criticize AEW. Not that much. You can criticize them a little bit, but you'll immediately get the it's better than WWE. I haven't watched WWE in 22 years, and I can tell you it sucks. I'm like, what? You didn't even watch the product. What the hell are you talking about? Let's see. Those dudes with the AJ Styles redneck buzz cut profile picture holding the TNA title saying Cena couldn't lace Kazarian's boots were hideous people, and they're probably locked up now. You know what? They're definitely walking around in all elite wrestling shirts right now. I'm telling you. All the people who were like, yeah, Kazarian, how dare WWE ask him to cut his hair, man? Those fucking guys, they were trying to turn him into a stupid fucking yada, yada, yada. He was right to come to TNA, man. Think about how stupid that was. Frankie Kazarian quit WWE because they asked him to cut his hair. What? Yeah. And he ended up cutting his hair like the next year or something like that anyway. It was stupid. It was stupid. It was dumb. But that's the kind of shit that we was going through with TNA. And I was barely watching TNA and I was still getting mobbed with that junk. I remember going to WrestleMania and they kept taking all the TNA signs. And as you know, there was like, it wasn't how many of them? It was probably like 50 or 60, you know, which is a lot. You know, but there was quite a few TNA signs, Vince Spears, Dixie, all that kind of stuff, you know, stuff about Vince Russo, a lot of AJ Styles stuff. It was just tons of shit. And WWE, you know, I guess it was, I'm not sure if it was WWE or if it was Ford Field that was taking those signs. But on WrestleMania 23, it was the shits. You know, people chanting TNA in the parking lot. It was dumb, man. Like, it wasn't a lot of people chanting TNA in the parking lot, but there was some TNA chants in the parking lot. It wasn't interesting. But this AEW stuff, I'm surprised. And I would say this, I am very, very, very surprised. There has not been any AEW chants on WWE TV. There have been, if there have been, there have been very few. So Lorenzo Granger is happy WWE signed Kylie Ray. Well, we'll see how long that lasts. If it does happen, we'll see how long that lasts. Let's see. Synonymous TV says, I'm surprised Umaga never became WWE champ, considering he always seemed to be mixed in the main event, guys. It looks like a monster. I think he started getting into some, I think they knew about his drug problems, and they wanted to cut him some slack. But at certain points, you know, it just is what it is. And I think that's when they started kind of fucking him over, when they found out about, they kept, like, I don't think they made it public every time he got popped for drugs. I think mostly it was just kind of under wraps, you know, like he's fucking up, you know. You can tell when somebody's fucking up, even when they're not outwardly being punished and the company is not coming out loud. Like, they were coming out loud saying when Randy Orton was screwing up. They weren't for Umaga, but you can actually tell that they were punishing Umaga for something, because he would be in a 3-on-1 situation and still lose. Like, that's ridiculous. This is a guy who Cena couldn't even beat him just a few months prior. Now he's got a 3-on-1 advantage. He can't beat Lashley. Like, Lashley is fucking bulletproof compared to this guy. Like, no way. It's just no way. AEW has vegan catering. Well, that's just some of the most heinous shit I've ever heard. Why would you do that to these guys? You feeding them like cows and lambs and shit. Like, why would you do that? They got like a trough of grass. They got grass-fed grass. Grass-fed leaves. What in the hell? Yeah, you can tell like Umaga was on the outs. You can look at it and tell he was on the outs. Just the booking changed. It changed so dramatically. It's just boom, it just slanted right into him being a J-Brown, like out of nowhere. So it was just kind of like, that sucked. Because he went from being booked very, very strong and only really losing to top guys. And Lashley was, becoming a top guy. But then they had Lashley lose to Cena after they had Cena, Lashley steamroll Umaga for like weeks and weeks and weeks. You're like, wow, like Umaga just can't beat this guy. I don't know. It was very weird. Yeah, there was tons of like Vince fears Dixie, because everybody knew that Panda Energy had a ton of money. It's the exact same thing that's going on now. Panda Energy is worth more money than Vince. That's Dixie's family. She can borrow whatever she wants. She's got an endless budget. I think they were on Spike TV at the time, or they were about to get the Spike TV deal, and they might have been still been on Fox Sports Net, and about to make that transition to Spike, one or the other. But Panda Energy had a ton of money, and it had more money than Vince, and everybody's like, "Oh, Dixie Carter got all this money," and it didn't matter because her family was not going to invest the kind of money necessary to make TNA competitive with WWE. They were not going to do it. Which takes us to the Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle piece of. All right, am I back yet? Is that it? I think I figured it out. All right, am I back yet? Yeah, I figured it out. I figured out what I did. I somehow removed myself from my own fucking stream. I don't know how I did that. Yeah, I got attacked. I got damage controlled. So that's what happened. Okay. Bailey and them, they grabbed a hold of me. They trying to stop me from spreading good cheer. It's Christmas season. So here's what Kurt Angle had to say about Brock Lesnar wanting to go to TNA. He says, I probably shouldn't even be saying this now, but you know what? Brock doesn't care. He said, hey, what are you making? And I said what I was making. He said, if you can get me that, I'll come. I approached TNA and they said, no, we're not going to give him that kind of money. So Brock Lesnar was interested in going to TNA, but only if he made a similar amount of money to Kurt Angle, and TNA rejected that figure. So goes back to what I was saying before about the Carter family having the money but not wanting to spend it. Me getting abducted is has taken over the stream. Well, look, they didn't want to spend the money on Brock, but they spent money on dumb shit. I don't know about TNA, man. But TNA was a weird situation. And we're in a weird place right now. And I think that it was probably something similar with AEW when Brock's contract was up. What was this, in 2020? And Brock stopped showing up. And everybody was like, oh, Brock is about to leave. Maybe Tony Khan should give Brock all the money and Brock will show up. And then Jericho was like, no! Jericho screamed from the... He screamed and ran across the lawn like, no! Don't do it! They spent it on drunk Scott Hall and a incredibly gray Kevin Nash, not to mention a bunch of bumblefucks from like AAA and New Japan, like an undersized Tanahashi who had no body and had no business being in the ring with these guys. It was embarrassing. Naito, etc., etc. I can't say for sure they would have made that money back if they'd have gave it to Brock, but it would have been a nice little coup. It might have lasted for a little while before Brock blew up and tried to throw everybody down the stairs. That would have been nice. It would have been nice to have Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe at a pay-per-view. That would have been great. Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. That'd have been awesome. But they didn't want to spend the money. So even though Panda Energy had the money, they didn't want to spend it. And then when they got to Spike TV, they had the money, but then Spike was paying for some of the talent. They was paying for like Sting and stuff. I think they paid for Hogan too, didn't they? They were paying for Hogan and stuff too. So Spike, when they got that Spike deal, they probably could have afforded Brock, but I think by then Brock was already back in the UFC. Was already in the UFC by then. But to think that they had an opportunity to get Brock Lesnar, they decided, no, we didn't want to spend the money. They were just being cheap. But that begs the question, what did they pay Christian? Like, clearly, I don't think Christian was making as much money as Brock or Kurt Angle. But I want to know where he sits on that scale. When you had Hall and Nash, and you got Christian, and you got Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle and Sting are probably the two highest paid guys. I would guess. I would guess those were the two highest paid guys with Brock with Kurt Angle and Sting. Then maybe Jarrett, because Jarrett's a part owner, so he probably was making a nice little chunk of change. But we know that the TNA regulars weren't making that much money. We know they weren't making that much money because they never made a lot of money. The TNA regulars, they don't make a lot of money now. The TNA regulars, I don't think anybody gets taken advantage of more in the wrestling business than people who work for Impact. I mean, you basically working for Impact for a bubble gum and a dream. You're just hoping you get TV experience, and somebody else wants to pick you up because they don't make shit in Impact, and it's a shame. Most of them got second jobs and shit. I think Josh Alexander said that he basically just in 2021 was able to make wrestling his full-time job without a second job. He's been in Impact forever. I think Jordan Grace, well, the women don't really count because they all do OnlyFans. So I'm not even going to count them because almost all of them do OnlyFans to a degree. I think when the Main Event Mafia was started working, they started actually spending some money. Because they got Scott Steiner, they had Sting, they had Booker T, they had, Nash. They were spending some money by that point. I think what's the name was already going. I think the Brock idea was already in the wind. But I also think there was probably some people in TNA who didn't like Brock. Again, Brock isn't for everybody. Brock ain't for everybody. And there's probably some people who worked with him in WWE who was like, look, man, no, you don't want to deal with that problem. It was, yeah, I'd probably spend more money on manga than Jordan Grace makes. And that's fucked up because I don't make that much money. I spend more money on unread comics than you make. I got stacks of unread books that probably cost more than fucking Jordan Grace's check. But I had no doubt that Jordan Grace makes a nice little living for herself. She just does OnlyFans because she enjoys the attention. I'm just going to say that for the record. I don't think she's poor. I don't think she's poor at all. I think her husband is very short, but I don't think she's poor. Well, I don't think short is the right word. I don't think tiny does him justice. The man's a miniature. They said the dude who slides Whoppers into a broiler probably makes more money than Josh Alexander with his Impact check alone, right? Shit, I think Josh Alexander must have worked for tips. I mean, it just makes no sense, Yeah, the thing is, money is not everything because dudes make a lot of money and they still be bitching. The UFC fighters and stuff like that be on that tip. Boxers and football players, they all on that tip. They all make a lot of money and still be complaining. But since we're on the subject of Josh Alexander being broke, here's from Meltzer and them, or technically Ian Carey, who works for Meltzer. Josh Alexander says signing with AEW was, quote, on the table, felt he should stay with Impact. Alexander re-signed with Impact earlier this year. Well, thank you for telling me if I didn't know, but it did. So, okie dokie. Let's go through this. Let's see what we got here. He says Josh Alexander signing with AEW was an option when he was a free agent earlier this year, but he ultimately felt that staying with Impact Wrestling was the right move for him. Alexander spoke with Chris Van Vliet recently and noted that signing with AEW was, quote, on the table during his free agency. Josh Alexander says, I quote, it was definitely on the table and it was definitely a thought and all this other stuff. But I wouldn't say it was too close because all the other stuff had been happening in Impact. I really felt I should stay. And like also happening in AEW with me watching every week, I still watch everything to this day. But I just like for me as a pro wrestler, what the fuck? I can't believe this. I'm trying to read this shit. This shit is awful. Let's get to the gist of it. It says, I think my benefit is bell to bell. That is where I gain notoriety. That is where I show my worth in pro wrestling scene. And at the time watching AEW, it didn't look like a lot of opportunities to do that stuff outside of like the top 20 people on the roster. You see people shuffle in and out and shuffle in and out of there. They get their runs for a few weeks and they go back to shorter matches on Dark. And it was just Impact has been good to me. Impact was the first company that gave me an opportunity and got me that visa and this stuff. Like it's all been roses since I got here, man. I won the tag belts 3 months after I signed and got here. And I had the longest running tag team championship run. Then as soon as Ethan left, everything's like going through your mind. And I was stressing out, man. I hope I don't sit on the bench and just have to watch the shows until they figure out what they're going to do with me. And immediately I got an opportunity in the X division. And that happened, was awesome. and all that. This other stuff is just opportunity after opportunity. I think all you can ask for as a wrestler is for an opportunity to show what you can do. Give me the ball, and if I drop it, that's fine. But if give me the ball a ton of times, and I don't think I've dropped it yet. So I'm just going to ride this out and see how long it goes. Yeah, I'm sure. For starters, all this other stuff. What do you mean, all this other stuff? What does that mean? I don't. What does all that stuff mean? What is all this other stuff? Yeah, Josh's wife does have an OnlyFans. Yeah. He got a son with this woman. I don't understand the guy who has a wife who has an OnlyFans. It's like, oh, I'm going to feed my kid off of the cent bucks, and then what? Your kid is going to grow up knowing that mama got pictures of her in a thong on Twitter, on Instagram, some guy beating it off to your mom. Like that's creepy. We are not thinking about what kind of psychological damage we're doing to our children when, their big sisters and their moms and stuff are asshole naked on social media, even if it's not fully, sex scenes, but just like thong pictures and, bikini shots and that kind of stuff. It's still very weird. It's like we're taking the Hollywood lifestyle and then plunking it into every household in America. By telling women that they live life on easy mode and that they can just take their tops off and make money. All of a sudden, that's a corrupting influence on our society. But if Josh Alexander is happy with it, then hey, what am I to say? Do your thing, man. Just, self-hating Asian wives. But are they hot though? That's the thing. Hot Asian wife. But Josh Alexander is basically saying he doesn't feel like he would have gotten an opportunity in AEW. That's very smart. It's very astute, and it's also very honest because he watched AEW and he noticed people like him who weren't connected, who aren't big personalities, they don't really get a run. Josh Alexander would be nothing in WWE. Nothing. He would have to come up with a character. Vince would have looked at this and says, all right, what do you do, pal? He'd be like, well, I'm Canadian. Wrap him in the Canadian flag. Call him the Eradicator. Which is like literally like an Alpha Flight character. He'd been wearing like a Canadian jumpsuit, like the Canadian flag on it. Like it would have been some hilarious stuff. So he's probably better off just saying, I just want to be a wrestler and wrestle stuff. So Impact will let me do it. He left out the part where he's good friends with Scott D'Amore, who helped recruit him and bring him into the company. So he was a Scott D'Amore guy. So that probably is one of the reasons why he got such a lot of opportunities. But we're going to move past that part. TNA is still a thing. It's actually on. Well, it must have just went off the air. TNA was on until 10 o'clock. It was on. Did you know that they murdered a man on that show again last week? I heard that Eric Young was going to WWE. I heard about that. I didn't care to think too much about it. And then I watched the show. Show was not awful. It's just kind of bland Impact stuff. And then at the end of the show, Eric Young is in a knife fight with Diener. And I'm like, what in the high hell is this? So off screen, Diener stabs and murders Eric Young. And what? Why is there so much murder on Impact? Why do people keep getting murdered on this show? Why is there murders and Dragon Ball Z light fights? Like, why is this stuff happening on this show? Why are there people teleporting? Like what's happening? So what happens if Eric Young flames out of WWE again, and then he turns around and comes back? Are we going to then find out that he survived his own murder? Because that's apparently what happened with Taya Valkyrie, right? Taya Valkyrie supposedly shot Johnny Bravo. That was their way of writing her off TV so she can go to NXT. She came back and they tried to find a way to explain why Taya Valkyrie, an attempted murderer, is back on their show. This is insanity. All right. This is why you can't. What are you doing? You can't murder people. Just find a creative way of writing them off the show instead of having absolute murders. Like, no, Undertaker and Bray Wyatt never murdered anybody. They beat the shit out of people. Like, the closest thing to a murder Undertaker ever participated in, outside of the hanging of the Big Boss Man, which looked like a murder, but nobody ever said he was dead, was Muhammad Hassan. And nobody said he was dead either. On this show, they're actually actively saying that Eric Young is dead. Right? They're literally saying that this guy is dead. They did an entire 6-month murder mystery about Johnny Bravo, only for him to survive at the end, and then for the killer to come back. What are they doing? What are you doing? At least when Lucha Underground like fed a guy to Matanza or whatever, that guy didn't come back. You know, when they murdered what was the name of the general manager? Like, they kept the actor, but just made him the general manager's father. It was the weirdest fucking thing in the world, but at least they stuck to the murder actually occurring. You know, like, at least Dario Cueto. At least it worked. You said Undertaker didn't send Edge to hell at SummerSlam. Did he? I think he chokeslammed him through the ring, but I don't think he sent him to hell. I don't know. Did he send him to hell? Is that what we're supposed to take from that? Because if that's the case, when he climbed from under the ring and grabbed Diesel, he's dragging Diesel to hell. Oh yeah, Allie is dead. Yeah, there's a lot of what is going on? There's like, wasn't Mickie James murdered on Impact? She got pushed in front of a train. Like, she's going on the last rodeo. She got murdered 8 years ago or something like that. Like, what's happening, man? Like, why are we doing murders? Yeah, Hulk Hogan did scare the Giant off the top of a building after they had one of the worst monster truck fights I have ever seen. Those monster trucks couldn't be separated with fucking the jaws of life. It's just everything about that had all the potential to be cool if they weren't scary as fuck. But Hogan's scary as hell. So he wasn't really going to drive a monster truck on top of a building and risk falling off. He just wasn't really going to do that. So these monster trucks were taken all the way up to this goddamn top of this building, and then they were just welded together. It was quite dumb. Oh yeah, there was potential murders in the Money in the Bank match. I forgot about that. Yeah, these guys got thrown off a roof. That is true. That did happen. But I think they immediately said, there was a second roof. That was the next day though. Like, this was the next day. They were like, oh, he got thrown into a second roof. Like, that still has to fucking hurt, right? Like, more than Rey Mysterio, didn't somebody else get murdered in that Money in the Bank match? They got thrown off a roof. Like, how many guys got thrown off the roof? There's 2 guys got thrown off that roof. I think it was Malachi Black and Rey Mysterio. I think when they killed in that match, a second roof. Like, oh, we got thrown into a second roof. That makes it so much better. You got thrown into a second roof. Like, oh, okay. Oh yeah, John Cena got locked in the negative zone. How did he get out of there, by the way? How did John Cena get out of that negative zone that Bray Wyatt catapulted him into? Yeah, that was the one that Otis won when guys were getting murdered, which had to be the coolest fucking Money in the Bank of all time because it was co-ed. It was a co-ed Money in the Bank match. It was cinematic. It included comedy, murders, and a bunch of other stuff. And then Otis won, which was crazy. It was crazy stuff, man. It was a crazy, crazy night. Had so much fun with these murders. But it wasn't like I shoot you with a gun murder, right? It wasn't a I come back on screen with a fucking bloody knife murder. Stone Cold Steve Austin getting hit by a car, it was fucked up. But you were not led to believe that Stone Cold Steve Austin died. You know, that was never the goal. It was never the goal for you to believe Stone Cold Steve Austin died. When they set the Fiend on fire, right? There was a question of how is the Fiend going to return from this? Not the Fiend is dead. We set him on fire. We were never going to see him again. You know, yes, Money in the Bank 2020 was excellent. It was fantastic. And the murders helped. So I shouldn't talk too much about it. But at least it wasn't a bloody homicide. Like it was how do you shoot somebody on TV and then keep your job? I don't get that. I don't get it. Didn't John Cena try to murder JBL like a giant muffler or something like that? Oh yeah, Vince McMahon did. He had the exploding car. That's excellent. I forgot about that too. The crazy thing about that is I think the next week the Benoit shit happened. You know, so they had to undo the Vince McMahon murder. Like, what on earth? I'm okay with a murder mystery, but to have a bloody knife on a screen, it's like, huh? That's when you just kind of be like, whoa, wow. And then on commentary, they're just talking about it like, Diener stabbed Eric Young. I'm like, huh? We're talking about this so casually. You know, like we just got ourselves a random stabber going on here. Just like when Jesus supposedly stabbed John Cena, which was very, very, very poor taste. Because Carlito's dad was involved with the stabbing Bruiser Brody. Like, could you imagine how tasteless that was for somebody to bring up, hey, you know, Carlito, didn't somebody get stabbed at your dad's promotion? Well, absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely happened. How about you stab John Cena? He probably had to sit there and be like, what the fuck? Why would you suggest this? Why would anybody suggest this? You find the moment the Puerto Rican kid shows up, all of a sudden people start getting stabbed. Like, oh yeah, that's how it's gonna work. I'm Puerto Rican. My dad, he wasn't really even involved with the stabbing, by the way. He just kind of covered it up. He wasn't involved with the stabbing, not personally. But you know, all of a sudden, Carlito is gonna stab John Cena. Get the fuck out of here, man. Why would you do that? Just they murdered Eric Young. He's dead. Eric Young is dead. And now all of a sudden, this shit is happening. Man, Vince McMahon was not going to hire New Jack. I don't believe that one at all. He was not going to hire New Jack. New Jack is too much of a problem. He has said too much crazy stuff. The ninjas in the SUV, ain't they the ones who put that the Nation of Violence thing on his face? Is that how that shook out? Is that, you know, Samoa Joe came back with all that weird stuff on his face? I don't know, man. Samoa Joe's too big to get kidnapped by ninjas. I can tell you that much. He's too big. You're too big to be getting abducted. You can't abduct a guy the size of Samoa Joe. You can jump him. You can mob him. You can Nancy Kerrigan his knee. You can't abduct him. Where the hell are you going to take this guy, 400-pound dude? Where are you going to take him? How many of you are there going to be? Where are you going to take this guy? New Jack's gimmick was attempted murder. Everything with him was too real, and I can't stand that fucking guy. Yeah, Kane said JR. Kane's he shot Saint McMahon's balls, but he didn't die. You know, so it was fucked up, but he didn't die. It was never. Yeah, he was about to light Rob Van Dam on fire. I think he was about to set Linda on fire too, wasn't he? Wild shit. The Rock was in an ambulance. They got ran over by a forklift or something like that, and he still managed to not only survive that but win his match. So The Rock is made of sterner stuff than most people. Oh yeah, Paul Bearer did get he got buried in concrete. That was the big write-off so he can go and lose weight. And he had to explain how he survived. Wasn't he like in a deep freezer or some shit? Edge pulled him out of a deep freezer or some nonsense. Or did he lock him in a deep freezer? It's one of the two. They killed Paul Bearer 2 or 3 times, man. Like, these people are out of their goddamn minds. Like, they probably killed him, or they killed Undertaker twice. You know, they set Undertaker's casket on fire. That was Kane. They set his casket on fire. They buried him alive. You know, they killed him a couple of times. But, you know, he always comes back. Can you believe this? Samoa Joe, 400 pounds, got kidnapped by ninjas. Oh, boy. Yeah, Randy Orton and Kane set Undertaker on fire. Oh, God. What about Kurt Angle trying to rape Sharmell? Now, that's probably one of the most bothersome angles I've probably ever seen. And it was all because Vince, he knew Kurt Angle had a thing about black women, so he decided he's going to. What a demented guy! You like black women, huh? You want to have bestiality sex with these black women? Bestiality sex. And then Kurt Angle, Olympic gold medalist, bad motherfucker, Olympic gold medalist, is talking about how he wants to have sex with Booker T's wife. He wants to have bestiality sex with Booker T's wife. I'm just looking at this shit like, what? Vince is insane, bro. Look, that's the crazy thing about it. The whole thing with, Eric Bischoff kissing Stephanie and Linda, people thought that stuff was weird. It's like, as weird as that is, Vince looking at them like actors, okay. It's the stuff where Vince is sitting in his office and he comes up with Kurt Angle likes black women, so we're going to have him stalk a black woman, and it's going to be Booker T's wife. And we're going to go to Booker T with this idea. You know, convicted felon Booker T. We're going to go up to this guy, 6'4", 260 some odd pounds. We're going to walk up to him and we're going to say, sir, you want to use your wife in this angle where Kurt Angle is going to try to rape your wife. That's what we want to do. How? I wouldn't even have the balls to suggest that. I could not walk up to another man and say, we're going to use your wife in this kind of way. Let alone that man not murder me, let alone that man being like, okay, let's go for it. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, man, Vince, sometimes, man, you gotta turn it off, man. Sometimes you gotta chill. But I didn't get that one. I didn't understand that one. I was like, man, oh my God. Wade Barry got covered in chairs. Remember that. Got buried in chairs. It was the wildest thing in the world, man. As bad as all this stuff is, nobody got murdered, man. Like, nobody got stabbed and was told reportedly dead. Like, you can't report characters dead, man. Like, what is he gonna do? Come back under a mask? I don't know, man. It seemed goofy to me, dog. But they murdered Eric Young on Impact. I don't get it. I don't even understand why you even have the balls to do that. It takes balls to do that, man. You know how we're gonna get rid of him? How? We're gonna stab him. Like, what? We're gonna stab him. Well, that's one way of dealing with it. It's one way of writing a guy off TV. And then you're gonna have Diener do it. Diener sucks. That's just there that goes. Okay. So let's try to stop talking about people getting murdered. let's get to Stephanie McMahon and her desire to get into boxing for some odd reason. And I don't know what's going on with this or why. And so this is from Boxing Scene. WWE considered making an acquisition in boxing, says co-CEO Stephanie McMahon. It says, it gives a little bit of background. It says WWE co-CEO recently stated that one of the potential areas of growth for the company is mergers and acquisitions. During the 6th annual Wells Fargo TMT Summit in Las Vegas on November the 30th, Wells Fargo analyst Stephen Cahill asked McMahon to elaborate and provide color on those future acquisitions plans could look like for WWE. Stephanie then said, quote, just to give some examples of what I meant by that, an acquisition has to align with our core capabilities, right? So whether that's smaller wrestling promotions, say internationally, or it's another bigger opportunity around a business that is, you know, kind of all over the place, like boxing. Who's the lineal champion? Who's the WCBC champion? Who's the this? It's the kind of all over the place. That's where professional wrestling was some 40 years ago. My father, Vince McMahon, was the chairman and CEO, obviously, had the opportunity to roll up all of those different territories and create one major brand in WWE that has now gone from a regional territorial content play to a global media franchise. And how can we then replicate that in other areas, with boxing being an idea of one of them? Stephanie is going to, man, what is she doing? Is this going to be an XFL level blunder just under Stephanie? Stephanie. Of course, the McMahons have history promoting boxing. Her great grandfather promoted boxing. Vince's grandfather, Jess McMahon, promoted boxing. He was actually said to be a disgrace to the boxing business, Jess McMahon. But nobody has had more fun with this idea than people who are into boxing. So here's what some of them said about this. This is from Boxing Scene. This is their comment section. I am not caring about this kind of clickbait until it actually happens and what kind of investment they would be making. There are more than a few business models that WWE would be a huge bonus for boxing. But if it's in the promotional side, I actually feel that would be a train wreck with more obstacles in the way than for the hype. Somebody says, I'm all for this. Her father killing all the wrestling territories really hurt the business. But in the case of boxing, they'd be saving boxing if they could run all the other competitors out of business and create a singular governing body. Plus, they have the absolute best production team in the world. Okay. Somebody says, on the low, I think she's one who exposed her father's allegations. Hear me out. Her father had run her and her husband out of the company at the end of his run. She was put on, quote, leave with no comeback date. Then magically an anonymous source exposes her father's financial and sexual mixed deeds. Somebody says, and boxing is dying, right? But everyone seems to want a piece of boxing, of a dying sport. Well, here's the thing. Boxers don't make a lot of money. Top end boxers make a lot of money. Other people typically do not. There was a boxing card where guys were making like $600, I think. I forget. It was one like a big fight that happened recently. There were some guys making $1,200. There were some guys making $600. It was kind of silly that, you know, the top guys were making like millions. And then there was a guy on the card that made like $600. Here's another one. Let's see how it goes. If Dana White had plans and canceled, then I wonder if the WWE will be able to succeed. Wonder if them expanding to boxing is a reflection of how the wrestling business is going. I don't know about that. Somebody says more promoters means less fights getting made. More fighters are going to get split up because they are with this or that promoter. As much as I hate to say it, This is why boxing is getting slaughtered by the UFC. I think that boxing suffers from the lack of a governing body because nobody knows or cares who the world champions are. You know, what the fuck is that guy named Alexander Usyk? He's a heavyweight champion, but nobody knows it and nobody cares, right? Because everybody views Tyson Fury as being the world champion. But technically speaking, doesn't that other guy have a world title too? So this is more like wrestling 100 years ago, more than 40. Boxing is complicated, going to be tough. You can run and sign a fighter, but then you will be stuck with a good fighter, but absolutely no quality opponents for him. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Somebody says it's better to invest in boxing than it is investing in a football league. And I agree with that too. You know, investing in football is very, very hard. The best thing WWE could do for boxing in the USA is bring PBC to ESPN so that ESPN and Showtime are sharing the same pool of boxers. If they were able to entice Golden Boy to ESPN as well, you have put all boxing promoters on the same side of the road. WWE could put up the funding for pay-per-views as well. Everyone wins. These are, of course, pipe dreams, but if they really want to clean up the sport, bringing all the major promotions under one band is the best way to do it. I don't think WWE is going to be offering to just, hey, we're going to foot the bill for your fucking pay-per-views. That doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? Plus, I think this is more of a Nick Khan idea. Because Nick Khan was involved with mixed martial arts and boxing and stuff like that before he got into wrestling. Let's see. Please, no, do not want boxing associated with entertainment like WWE. Would be cool if boxers had flashier ring walks, though. I mean, did you not see Deontay Wilder's ring walk? He's wearing like 10 pounds of shit. Boxing already became like a circus, so it shouldn't be that difficult. Yeah, I agree. Boxing has been a circus forever, though. Boxing is another one of those things that used to be essentially a circus. So I don't see why people are so upset about this. I don't think these promoters and their companies are going to lay down for WWE to acquire them like what WWE did to indie wrestling studios. These boxing promoters have a lot of pull and have deep pockets. WWE also has no idea about boxing outside of knowing the names of more famous boxers. I have stopped watching WWE since 2015. I tuned back in a few weeks back out of curiosity, and I was appalled at the quality of their shows. They need to worry about putting on better, more intriguing shows and not let AEW one up on them. Well, you knew that was coming, right? No matter what walk of life or interest you may have, the tribalism never goes away. Somebody says, I don't see how in the world of wrestling, UFC, MMA can help or improve boxing in any way, shape, or form. I used to love wrestling, but I don't anymore because there's just too much trash talking in the ring before the matches. The build-up is too long and overdrawn, killing the match itself, at least for me. It's amazing to me how much I used to love wrestling and how much I don't care for it now. Somebody says, Floyd and Triple H are really good friends. Keep your eye on this. Well, the interesting thing about this is you don't need to know anything about boxing in order to fix boxing because you can hire the right people who know a little bit about boxing and you might be able to fix it, right? That's the thing about business. If you don't know anything about something, you got the money and you got the idea, hire the right people and it might work. You know, just you have to hire the right people. Somebody says, I agree that what she's talking about is likely, but what she's talking about is not going to bear fruit. However, if they could convince HBO to get back in, that might be a thing. It's crazy to think, but boxing was far superior when the mob pulled the strings. Ooh. Clarissa Shields sucks. Better quality equals work rate, no selling matches. Well, I'm telling you, these people are not the smartest people in the world. Somebody says, buy up or take controlling stakes in all the sanctioning bodies, including the minor ones. Discontinue them all, except the big three. Give the existing presidents ceremonial positions, but on the premise that there be no shenanigans, i.e. dodging rankings and bogus belts. Priority be given to establish undisputed champions and thus new lineages in every division, which would probably be the smarter thing in the world to do. The Dana White slap boxing thing, that shit gonna get shut down. I'm telling you right now. That shit is going to get shut down for sure. That shit is CTE. It's a CTE factory. You know, in MMA, you can at least dodge the punches. And in slap box, you can't flinch. You got to take that shit full to the face. They're going to fuck somebody's brain up. That shit going to get shut down. Believe it or not. And there's been people who, the boxing and MMA is human cockfighting. Those people hate slap boxing. And I told you guys before, the combat sports, football, MMA, boxing, to a lesser extent, pro wrestling, these things are based on class. They are very beloved and mostly participated in by lower class people. The people who pay to see it are mostly upper class and middle class people. So basically, when you go to a boxing fight, you're watching two poor Mexicans beat each other's brains in for the entertainment of rich white people. That's generally the idea. The fact that they one day become rich themselves, those boxers, inconsequential. So what you're doing is you're putting what you do in the hands of people who have different morality than you. So something like slap boxing will not appeal to them because it's too brutal and you can't dodge it. You know, MMA, boxing, you get that plausible deniability of, you know, something bad might happen, but it might not. You know, maybe the damage won't be known for 5 or 10 years. You know, maybe he doesn't get knocked out. Maybe he loses via submission. But slap boxing, nah, those dudes are getting smacked to sleep regularly. Nah, and even if he doesn't lose consciousness, they're not going to let that shit stand. They're not going to let it stand. Here's more commentary on WWE and boxing. It says, big fights take forever to make, so they talk trash on social media to milk as much interest from the fans as long as they can. I lost so much interest in Errol Spence versus Terrence Ford. I went from genuine excitement for this fight to I just hope they fight to get it over with. Another one said, that would be cool, but the return on investment in boxing is simply terrible. A lot of wealthy people and large promoters have fell on their face trying to get into boxing, like Jay-Z. However, WWE is a public company and they cannot afford to waste shareholder money. So I would love to see it, but I doubt it happens. Also, boxing in general just does not get big ratings anymore. That is true. Boxing is not really a threat to WWE in terms of TV ratings. They would have to make their own stars. And Vince, was his aversion to getting involved with MMA was his inability to fix the fight. You can't pick your stars, you know? So you have to try to make do with what you have, which is typically what Dana White does. He tries to make stars out of the people who win. If everything aligns, like with Ronda Rousey or Randy Couture or Chuck Liddell or whatever, and it's somebody he thinks is marketable and they're a good fighter and they win all the time, then that's great. But then he gets stuck with some people who are champions and he don't really want them to be champions, so he tries to get the belt off them quickly by putting them in tough fights. I mean, it is what it is. But that's the nature of the fight game. Another one says, I can only see them creating a boxing company. It being like MMA pro wrestling is so you will go out for the WWE. You would go box for WWE and not for the WCB, WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF, whatever. Somebody says, too much politics is worse than Washington. Spirits Crawford in the ring. The lights go out. Bell rings. It's the Undertaker. I'm telling you, they could spice up. It's amazing how many people just know WWE gimmicks a mile away. So we're gonna do all kind of crazy shit. Oh yeah, UFC definitely works fights. And I'm not stupid. Like, that's the thing I'll try to tell people all the time. They think wrestling fans are stupid. Like, no, we're not stupid. We're just the people who know it's a work. There's people out there who don't know, and I fully believe this, and I don't care what y'all think. Just about every major sport is in some way a work. NBA, NFL, UFC, soccer, all of them. In some way, they are a work. Even if it's just that the referees know who not to call holding on or who not to, call a foul on and win. Get them as close as possible. Because I'm telling you, I used to watch basketball games, and you can look and tell that the referees are trying to influence the game. You can tell. You can tell who the league wants to win versus who actually is winning. I remember when the Pistons won that championship over the Lakers, and everybody acted like, oh, the Pistons didn't win, the Lakers lost. And you just kind of be like, damn. Every night they were still talking about the Lakers, Lakers, because they wanted to talk about the big city. They want to talk about the stars. They didn't want to talk about the Pistons. They ain't had no fucking stars. They were winning, but they ain't had no fucking stars. So you can tell that it's a work. You can tell when it's happening. And you may not be able to see it. Might be a little bit of sleight of hand, but it's happening. And I'm fully in on the boxing as a work. UFC is part of a work, and a lot of that shit is work. It's work. It's a fucking work, bro. I'm telling you, the NBA is a work, and I believe that it's more of a work than people are willing to let on, man. Like, you can't work putting the ball in the hoop. Either you can put it in there or you can't. But the referee makes a lot of subjective calls, and you can tell when they're up to no good, when they're trying to aid people. And everybody knows it. Everybody notices it. I always ask people, like, why do New York have like 4 or 5 teams? New York will have like 4 football teams. Like Idaho and Wyoming have no football team. New York got fucking 4. You're like, what? Well, it's a big market. Buffalo, the Jets, the Giants, and they got another football team too, don't they? I'm talking about the 2004 Pistons, Alto Johnson. I'm not talking about I'm talking about 2004 Pistons. When they were playing the super team of all of the Lakers with the Kobe and all them shits, I remember them games. It pretty much the Lakers was gonna sweep them, and then the Lakers lost, and it was the shits. It was the shits after that. Now the Pistons didn't win the championship in '89, did they? I think it was 88, 80, was it 87 or 88 or something like that? But the Pistons I'm talking about are 2004 Pistons. Not the 80s Pistons. They were just playing dirty. The Pistons played dirty in the 80s. I loved it. I was a fan. The 80s and 90s Pistons, they played dirty. I literally watched Bill Laimbeer throw elbows. That shit was great. That became their reputation too. I thought that's how you're supposed to play basketball. Let's see. Going back to this thing, it says shareholders won't be as kind as Heyman running off with their retirement money. Agreed, it's not happening unless it's a crossover event here and there, like FMW versus The Rock, Triple H out of retirement, whoever is the big name now, quick revenue pool. I think boxing fans want to watch boxing. So that's the negative thing. If WWE was to get into boxing, the issue would be what people believe that it was real, because WWE is so open with their works that people would believe anything that they involved with is a work. Like, people thought that the XFL would be a work, because it's WWE, it's entertainment. So of course they're going to fix a football game. Why wouldn't they? So that's a good question. New York has 3 football teams. Well, yeah, I thought there was another football team. There's only 3. Yeah, there's only 3. Why do they have 3 football teams? Like, they have 2 that play in the same fucking stadium, don't they? And now like California has 3 or 4 football teams too, right? And Texas has 3 or 4. Like Texas is a big state, so it would make sense for them to have quite a few football teams. But they have like 2. They have the Houston team. They have the Dallas team. California has the Rams, the 49ers. Well, the Raiders moved to Las Vegas. So they have 2 football teams. Unless there's another football team I'm not thinking of. But the big markets, they have multiple teams. Let's put it like that. And smaller markets have no team. Or they have 1 team. And it's for like a really small market. Like Chicago is a big market. I'm surprised they don't have 2 football teams. They got 2 baseball teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't try to they're the Chargers. There we go. I wanted to call them the San Diego Chargers so bad, but I knew that they changed it. I knew it was a different team. But I didn't want to put my neck out there and be like, I almost called the Houston Texans the Oilers. That just goes to show how old I am, for starters, and how out of touch I am. LA has 2 football teams. Oh, so they got 4 football teams in California because they got 2 LA teams, a San Francisco team. Oh, they don't have a San Diego team. Why I keep thinking they have a San Diego team? They don't. All right, I gotta get it out of my head. They don't have a San Diego team. So people are talking about, Stephanie McMahon trying to ruin boxing. The MMA guys and the boxing guys, they're not happy about this. They ain't thrilled about it. I just think that it's just something she mentioned. I don't think it's actually something that's going to happen. WWE running in boxing, like, I don't think you can run a shoot out of a place known for running works. I don't think you can do that. Nobody's gonna buy it. Everybody's gonna think it's fixed, and there's no way for them to shake the accusations of it being fixed. So it would never actually catch on. People will look at it and say to themselves, why would you do this? It's a work. It's obviously a work. And then the first time, have you seen? You haven't seen the Alto Johnson. There is a video of Stephanie McMahon boxing. It's awful. It's an affront to fighting. To call it a fight is to offend people who actually put on gloves at any point in their life. I've put on boxing gloves. I was offended by watching Stephanie McMahon attempt to box in the ring. Google it. It's awful. It's not good. She was boxing Triple H though, so it wasn't like she was going out there really getting busy. But she's bad. She's not good at it at all. Is it as bad as Ronda Rousey's shadow boxing? Stephanie fights like a girl. Ronda Rousey fights like somebody who thinks they know what they're doing. Like that shit she was doing with her hands. I don't know what that was. And it was absolutely embarrassing. Clearly embarrassing. But I want y'all to watch this video on CTE. Because I do want to, I wanted to talk about that on this channel too. It's another MMA video. But I can't remember what channel I got it from. But oh yes, here it is. It's called Mixed Martial Academic. I'm gonna put it in the what's the name, in the community section. And next week, this is gonna be y'all homework. Next week we're gonna talk about CTE, and the video is going to basically be like, hey, what do you think? Because I want to do my own research on CTE, and basically CTE and pro wrestling. But I'm not going to be able to do like a video on it. because I don't do video essays. I found that I don't really do that very well. What are you guys talking about? Oh, WCW being PG? Well, WCW was forced to be PG due to standards and practices. But it wouldn't have changed much if we're being honest. WCW would not have been that much different if it wasn't quote unquote PG. What difference would have made? You know, they would have been able to give people the middle finger. You know, like the Attitude Era wasn't about it being PG. It was about them taking chances, getting out there and and making noise and not being afraid to push the boundaries. That was what it was. You know, WCW could have did a lot of what WWE did, but not, of course, not 100% of it. They wouldn't have been able to do like the super bloody cage matches and stuff like that, but they would have been able to go out there and have some fun with a match. What the hell? Would have been no big deal, man. Wouldn't have mattered too much at all. What's this? I don't know what this is. I'm in trouble here. Oh, okay. I don't need this. I had like all kind of tabs up, and I'm like, what's going on here? What else did I say we were going to be talking about tonight? Well, I think we talked about everything I said we were going to talk. We talked about more than I wanted to, but this video is not going to be that long. I mean, let's see. What was this? Reality creator. Oh my God. I need you to get a sensible name, sir or ma'am. That name is not fit for, I don't understand it. Reality creator 666. No, don't believe. Man, if you don't change his name, you need to come back with like the name Steve or something like that. Oh yeah, so yeah, I put it in the community tab. Mixed Martial Academic. He did a video on CTE, and basically they were asking the question: like, can you continue to support UFC and MMA, knowing the damage that it does to the body? And I was like thinking the same thing, because whenever people get on their high horse about MMA or boxing or pro wrestling or whatever, or football or even soccer now, of people who get brain damage playing these sports or participating in these events, and people get on their high horse about it, you do have to ask the question, why do you keep following it? Why do you keep talking about it? And I think there is a deep appreciation for the athlete, but also for the science in that video. I want people to watch it, and I want to talk about it. Like, I think I'm going to dedicate the whole stream next week to it. I think I will. I think unless something crazy happens, I think I want to dedicate the whole stream to this one video and basically just do a response. And because I think he did a really good job, and I don't want to try to overdo it. I just kind of want to just talk about it, you know, because I think CTE is a very important thing. Wait a minute. Next week is what? Oh, I thought next week was Christmas. That's not nowhere near Christmas, bro. It'd be like the 15th or something like that. ROH Final Battle. What about Final Battle? It sucks. I've already talked about it sucking. Oh, for the record, I probably won't be able to review that show unless I watched it on at work, which, you know, I may have some downtime. I may be able to watch a match or two. I doubt I'm going to have time to watch the whole show. But I certainly won't be able to do a review because I won't be able to sit down and watch it all the way through. Joe Rogan says that The Rock is on steroids. It's like, bruh, you just now figured that out? You know, you just now figured that out, Joe Rogan? Would you just now see a picture of The Rock? What the fuck? Come on, man. Um, let's see. Okay, let's talk about your Shawn Michaels thing here. Because apparently he went, he did a talk before Deadline, and he gave out some information that I thought was very interesting. He's talked about the plans with New Day. It says the New Day appearance against Pretty Deadly. He asked if New Day, who is he? Oh, Nick Houseman. Okay. Nick Houseman asked if New Day coming in was a long-term thing, maybe. Shawn said he never asked for long-term. He lets the talent come in and he sees that they enjoy it. They really enjoyed being there Tuesday. Woods started there and loved being there. He said that they have accomplished everything and some guys get to that point and want to give back. He is hoping that them being there is more than a one-time thing. I should have put a timestamp in here. Sorry. Let's see. There we go. Oh no, that's not right. Oh no, I botched it. 45. Okay. So they're not sure if New Day is going to stick around for a while or not. Yeah, they put Final Battle in the middle of the day. It's in the mud. But New Day, they're not sure whether New Day is going to be around for the long haul, which I think is just a way of Shawn not trying to spoil the main event, or trying to spoil that match rather. Because if he says, "Oh yeah, New Day is just here for this match," then we know New Day is not going to win. If they say, "Yeah, New Day is going to stick around for a while," then we figure New Day is probably going to win. Wait a minute, did I say they're going to win twice? I mean, if they're not going to be there that long, if it's a one shot, they're probably going to lose. But so it's his way of not spoiling it. But here's what I really wanted to talk about. Ryan Satin asked who he thinks are talents most ready for the main roster. There are different versions of ready, according to Shawn Michaels. Pretty Deadly, he thinks you could put right in. JD McDonough, Grayson Waller, Apollo, Alba Fire, Zoe Stark, people that have been around for a while and have maturity. This isn't to take away from the Bronze and Creeds, they could do it too. But they want to keep teaching them so that they can have the best chance for success when they get to the main roster. They have done so much over the past year, and he would love to round them out more to make the chances of success even higher. Shawn Michaels. I love Shawn Michaels. But he really thinks like, oh yeah, you could take JD McDonough, a 5'4" Irishman, and just throw him onto the main roster and he'll be okay. Who is he going to wrestle? Who the fuck is he going to have a long-term, believable program with? JD McDonough's like a blow pop. Who is he going to wrestle for a long term? Grayson Waller, yes, you could put him on the main roster. It'll work out. Apollo Crews probably should already be on the main roster as is. The women don't matter, right? So you could pick any of the women and throw them up on the main roster. It'd have been perfectly fine. But he basically just admitting these are the people we can get rid of, and I don't care about them. Get rid of them. But the people I want to keep are the people I really truly want to believe in. I want to give them some extra seasoning. Pretty Deadly would be fine on the main roster. Pretty Deadly would actually probably be so much better if Vince were around. For Christ's sake, could you imagine if Vince McMahon had an opportunity to book Pretty Deadly? Oh, the hijinks, the absolute hijinks that they would they would be so much fun. Putting JD in the Brawling Brutes is an embarrassment. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. He's not a Brawling Brute. I don't know what the fuck he's supposed to be. I have no idea. I think he's supposed to be like a demented doctor or something like that. It's pretty nutty. AEW did around what they did last week. I think they did 850, 840 or something like that this week. And they did at 870 last week, so it's not that much of a difference. I mean, I'm not surprised the ratings have gone down. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think we should. To me, yeah, I think that they won some people over this week because this match that Ricky Stark stuff was good. But we'll see if they can actually stick the landing next week. You wonder will I think Ilya and Tyler Bate both went back to their respective countries. I think they have personal issues, so they went back to their respective countries. It might be the same for Blair Davenport. Like I think a lot of the people we haven't seen in a while, like Saray, Mako Satomura, etc. I don't even think they're in Florida. Some of them I think are gone. I think they've gone back to their home country of origin for a little while. And you know, again, like all of those people were brought in from NXT UK. You know, they brought in so many people at one time. It's impossible for all of them to get all settled in. It was impossible. You know, so there's no doubt in my mind that they probably gave these people some time off, you know, so that they can get used to life in the United States. And then they're probably going to be bringing some people back. They talk about NXT Europe. It's going to be the information for NXT Europe should be coming out next year. That's generally the issue that I'm seeing it right here. You know, that NXT Europe, the information is going to start coming out next year. So maybe that's a couple of weeks from now, next year, or like next year, March, April, May next year. Who knows? He was also asked about Ava Raine, but Ava Raine would be okay. She's too young for everybody to be too worried about her. But NXT has, you know, doing a good job. Hopefully it all turns out okay. I'm looking forward to Deadline. Looking forward to that. We'll talk about JD McDonough's head. You know, it's just big. It's too big for his body. He built like a 9-year-old boy. Matter of fact, a 5-year-old boy. JD reminds TN Pyro of 5 from Umbrella Academy because he talks like a mannequin. He talks to mannequins. You know, your lower lumbar region. I could poke it right here, and your whole body will fall apart. I'm like, what? Nah, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe you can do that. If we're going back to Black and Gold NXT, why not call up Dante Chen and Zion Quinn? Why would you call up Dante Chen? What the fuck is he gonna do? That's what I want to know. What's he gonna do? I don't know. What is he gonna do? I don't understand who is reality. Who is he arguing with? I'm trying to figure out who he's arguing with. Oh, he's arguing with Ali Hankerson. Okay. I just wanted to figure out what the hell was going on here. So I'm like, hey, they having a brouhaha. And they're talking about people losing their audience. And yeah, they're talking about Dynamite's ratings. Yeah, Tony D'Angelo could be a really, really high-level talent for WWE if they really wanted them to be. If they put forth the effort and, you know, really put some steam behind him, he could be a star, man. I definitely look forward to Tony D'Angelo being something in the future. You know, I hope it happens. I hope it works out for him. You know, there's no guarantee, but I'm looking forward to it. That's for sure. Hopefully it all works out and they don't, you know, dick him around like they're doing in NXT right now by not giving him opportunities. Like, he should have been wrestling for the North American title and everything, right? For some reason, he wasn't. I think, well, he wrestled for it, but he didn't win. And it was a weird situation where he had all this potential and then nothing came of it. You know, like it was, I don't know, man. I don't understand what we're waiting for when it comes to Tony D'Angelo. I don't understand what we're waiting for in terms of Carmelo Hayes. Like these guys they got good characters. They're in a good position. Let's do it. Let's make that move. Let's make it happen. Top Dog, they need to bring Braun Breaker up and give him the Brock O2 push. But sadly, he get booed by internet marks because they think he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. Whatever that means. As if they care about who's ready and who's not ready. I'm telling you, if you do things the right way, you'll figure out who's ready and who's not ready. That shit will pop up on its own. I guarantee it. You just got to give people the opportunity, man. You'll never know. You'll never know. So, yeah, you can draft Zoe Stark to Dynamite, as far as I'm concerned. You know, that would be great. Thank you kindly for your time. Just draft Zoe Stark to the Dynamite delegation and let her handle her business on Wednesdays. And I'm pretty sure she can find her some business on Wednesdays, where she can continue to look old while being young and being a great in-ring bell-to-bell performer, but having the personality of a breadstick. I'm sure they will appreciate the hell out of that, where the hell she plans to go. I personally am like, okay, not interested in that. No, I didn't talk about FTR or the Briscoes crying about the Usos. We're gonna do that in a Smart Tears video. I wanted to talk about these subjects first, and then we're gonna do Smart Tears with the Usos and FTR. And the fans are more upset than FTR. The FTR is what got my attention. When I saw, no, actually it wasn't FTR at all. It was the Briscoes. It was Jay Briscoe. His tweet is the one that got my attention. I was like, oh no, he didn't. Oh no, he didn't. You know, the money for Gargano and Roman is in other people's pockets. That's where it is. And that's where it's gonna stay. Nobody's gonna look at that match and say, I gotta see that. They got a long way to go. A long way to go to get people to think that Johnny Gargano is like Daniel Bryan 2.0. They've got a long way to go to get people to buy into that. You know, it's not going to work. I can tell you that. It's going to be a very, very, very difficult time. They're trying to make him cool by making him friends with Dexter Lumis, but hell, Dexter Lumis isn't even that over. You know, so you're in a difficult spot. You know, Corey J. I think Corey J. needs to be. She just like Braun and the Creed brothers. She needs to stay in NXT for a little while. You know, I just want her to better define her character. But I think we could definitely get rid of the Corey Cameron Grimes. We could definitely get rid of Grayson Waller. You know, Grayson Waller is ready for SmackDown or something like that. Just got to find the right place for him. I would probably start him out as a manager, like an annoying manager who eventually gets in the ring himself, because he seems to have a very strong suit of talking. And I think Grayson Waller could have a nice little. Well, he already had a few with LA Knight, but I think that Grayson Waller playing heel to LA Knight's babyface could be fun. You know. But I think we're all waiting for Tiffany Stratton to return. We're like sitting back saying to ourselves, like, where is she? Why have you? She's been gone for months. She's been gone for months. Roderick Strong, I haven't heard that name in a long time. I wonder if he's still on the roster. Toxic Attraction, yeah, they could probably move up, especially Mandy. Has anyone seen the Bobby boxing fight? Bobby Fish boxing fight. Oh, I mean, where's the lie? Nobody watched that shit. You know that. You know everybody watched that shit. That shit was like on the moon or something like that. He fought in like Tajikistan or some shit. Like nobody fucking watches that fight. Who did he beat up anyway? He probably didn't even beat the guy up. Probably just stopped the guy from falling over. All right. It's been 2 hours. I think we're running out of steam here. Do I think Braun Breaker will be the next Cena or Brock? No, because I don't think Triple H is trying to build the next Cena or Brock. I don't think he's interested in that. I think he's interested in, the kind of wrestling he grew up on, which is work rate guys. I don't think he wants a Cena or Brock. I think if he can avoid that, he would. It's unfortunately, it's unfortunate. They would rather have an average looking Joe, than fucking Brock Lesnar. Because they put fucking Braun Breaker on a boat with Apollo Crews. 2 big muscular dudes. They put him on a boat. A boat. And they was out there sailing and cracking jokes on each other. It was dumb. It was dumb. I don't know, man. I think Triple H, I don't know what he's looking for. It's like NXT was successful not because Triple H built stars per se, but because Triple H spent the money to get the top indie guys to jump ship to AEW, jump ship to NXT. That's essentially what happened. NXT started being successful when Triple H opened up the pocketbook and started throwing money out. But all of the stars, the people that Vince thought was going to make it, ended up being guys that Triple H had nothing for. Triple H spent all this money to get Shinsuke Nakamura. Vince had him win the Royal Rumble, but then was looked at it and was like, you know what? Nah, pass. I like gender instead. Oh, the pain. Triple H, if he had any balls, he would have hemmed Vince up in the office right then and there and said, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing to my guys? Damage Control sucks. They suck peanut butter through a straw. That's how bad they suck. Good Lord, they not good. I think if you put Grayson Waller and Austin Theory together, I think you got something really good. I think you got something that works. But that would require Austin Theory being allowed to have his personality back. And he can have fun hanging out with Grayson Waller. Two young guys who was out here. Well, yes, clearly that was right. Clearly, WG is correct. Jinder won the title before Shinsuke came up. But no, we saw what happened. They had Shinsuke Nakamura versus John Cena. The winner will fight Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship. And and Vince McMahon put over Jinder Mahal. Okay, so Triple H should have cut that old man right then. He should have poisoned that old motherfucker right then and there, but he didn't have the guts. He just put his head in his hands and was like, no, I spent all this money on this kid. Even though he was like in his mid-30s at the time. People get over if they have charisma. If you got charisma, you'll get over. It don't take much. Yes, Shinsuke Nakamura, but he also dropped John Cena on his head, so I think that didn't help him none. When he dropped John Cena on his head, I think that was it for him. I think Vince was like, you know what? He almost killed Cena. Yeah, they gave Nakamura a hell of a run. They did the same thing with Keith Lee, right? Keith Lee came in, barn burner, just came in hot. putting him over at the Survivor Series, putting him over at the Royal Rumble, and then skirt, nothing. No more. No further. He was supposed to be the U.S. champion too. He's supposed to win that title, except they gave it to Riddle. But that Nakamura push was a mess. They did all they could. No matter how much people try to bitch about Nakamura not working in WWE, they had him beat Orton. They had him beat Cena, and he won the Royal Rumble all within his first year. But he lost to Jinder, he lost to AJ Styles, and everybody's like, that's it. They killed him. They ruined everything. It's I don't know, man. That's WWE for you, man. That shit's a goddamn adventure. You show up, man, you're like, but you're riding high, and then out of nowhere, you're Bearcat. You're like, yeah, man. Brock wants to work with me. Everything's coming up roses. Next thing you know, Bearcat. You're like, what the fuck? Bearcat? Yeah, Bearcat. Take that. You're like, but I don't want to be a Bearcat. It's too late. It's too late. Your fate has been decided. That's nutty. That's so insane. Yeah. Oh my God. Vladimir Kozlov. Fucking Ludwig Borga beat fucking everybody, and then I was out of the company. Less than a year later, out of the fucking company. You're like, whoa, this guy was killing everybody. Now he's not even here anymore. Okay, sure, whatever. If you say so. Vladimir Kozlov, man, what a mistake that was. You remember how boring that they had a triple threat match where it was like him and Triple H, and it was somebody else, and it took forever for the other person to come down, and so it was Kozlov versus Triple H for like 10 minutes, and people were like, "Oh my God, I am dying! I am dying for you to end this." That was probably the most cringe match. It's up there with Orton and Triple H as being like a match that was like complete cringe. That you're sitting there like, oh shit, this not only is not over, it's getting anti-over. It's like people are actively getting mad at this. You know, they're fucking hot that this match is even going on. They're like, oh fuck you. Get this guy out of here. This guy sucks. I have it on DVD too because I think it was Survivor Series. At least I think it was a Survivor Series or was it a pay-per-view after Survivor Series? It was one of the two. But man, I forgot who the other guy in that triple threat match was. I was like, oh my God, it was awful, bro. I was like, Triple H versus Vladimir Kozlov was so boring. I was like, it can't get worse than this. Yeah, Survivor Series 2008. I knew it was a Survivor Series. I couldn't figure out which one it was. But it was so bad. I was like, oh. And could you imagine being fucking that guy? Like, could you imagine being that guy, for Christ's sake? You go through all that WWE is pushing him hard. It's being like the crazy Russian. And then all of a sudden, he gets locked up in a singles match and the crowd just died. I'm talking just died. I was like, oof. It was supposed to be Jeff Hardy and changed to Edge. 2008. Did Jeff Hardy go back to TNA? Or was that when they had to suspend Jeff again? It was something weird happened. I think we already talked about Theory and Waller being a partnership, and that will be great, but it will require Theory to have his personality. He's not allowed to have a personality right now. He has to be serious Theory with his beard and such. And he's wearing a jacket. He's like, you know what he means when he's wearing a jacket? It's a denim jacket. So I'm not gonna go that far, but he's wearing a jacket. So, Triple H, you're a heel. You're a heel in this business. To be a bad guy, you probably should wear a jacket. You know, I don't. What's the problem with why not wear a jacket? I love jackets. Everybody loves jackets. So put a jacket on. There he is. Like Vince with the dancing gimmicks. He gonna make you wear a jacket. Oh, okay. So is that no? Because they did the thing with the whole explosions in the face and everything. That came later, if I remember correctly. All right. It was all. It was. Ooh, it was bad. That Vladimir Kozlov stuff was so bad. It was so bad. And you know, people are being like weird when they talk about like Gunther as the new Vladimir Kozlov. It's like you got to be kidding me. That dude actually gets over because he knows what the fuck he's doing. You know, Kozlov was a machine with no charisma. He could do the moves, but that's about it. He had no charisma. None. Just none. He was anti-charisma. Good Lord, that shit was bad. Did Edge ever wrestle Triple H one-on-one, by the way? I'm surprised they never had like a big singles match. You would think they would have. Well, I don't think they got along too well, Triple H and Edge. I don't think they got along. I don't think Triple H was an Edge guy. I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I know so. It's from like the DVDs and stuff. You know, they never really got along. I think Theory is at that point where he's just going to do whatever he thinks, whatever the boss tell him to do, and he's going to figure it out. I don't think he really has too much of an opinion on this right now. So he needs to get an opinion. He needs one. I'm not saying he should be doing what Vince had him doing, but he certainly should be doing more than what Triple H got him doing. You know, he cutting the same promos every week. I'm not a boy anymore. I'm a man. You're like, okay, whatever. That's what you want to do. Yeah, I remember the wedding segment between Triple H and Edge where they revealed that Triple H was he was banging some chick, not Triple H, but Edge. He was banging some chick. And they also, I think that's what they did with Vicky was kissing on the Big Show, I think it was. It was just like, oh, it was ridiculous. They had one title match before Undertaker sent Edge to hell in 2008. A man got banished. Yes, Triple H was the reason Edge didn't face Cena at WrestleMania 22. Triple H wanted that match, and even though Edge was hotter, he wanted that match, so he decided he was gonna get it. So he politicked, and it got Edge bumped all the way down to that match with Mick Foley. But Edge was lucky because Vince was an Edge guy, so yeah, so it worked out for him. You know, he ended up getting the belt back anyway, but it was fucked up. But he also generally didn't like Edge anyway. You know, you could listen to how he talks about Edge in other documentaries. He didn't really like Edge, I don't think. Well, he didn't like Edge. I think it's a different thing now because they're both, well, Triple H is retired and Edge is semi-retired. So they're not competitors anymore. But Edge was a good contender to be a top heel and with Triple H. And it would have made more sense for Edge to hold the title to WrestleMania and face John Cena in the main event for Cena to win the belt back. That would have made a lot more sense than what they did to get Triple H into that match against John Cena, just for John Cena to win the match anyway. None of that worked. You could have just saved Cena and Triple H for SummerSlam. I mean, I think that he was jealous because Edge was younger than him. You know, and also the push that Edge got. Remember, Edge was a guy that Vince always liked Edge, even from the beginning. So he was always, he didn't protect him that much when he was in the tag team. But the moment they decided Edge was over as a singles competitor, oh, it was over. It started pushing him immediately. 2002, Edge was the star of SmackDown. He was going to be the guy that was going to beat Brock. They even did the matches over in Europe when it was Edge versus Brock. I think it was on one of those European pay-per-views. They were doing matches over there. Then Edge got hurt. Then he was out for a while. And then when he came back, they put him on Raw. And he was going to put him, he was going to be the one man that's going to destroy Evolution. I remember that. Nobody else remembers it, but I remember that. He beat Randy Orton for the Intercontinental title, and that's as far as it went. It went off the rails after that. And ended up turning Edge heel. The heel turn didn't really stick until they added Lita. But yeah, you could tell that Vince really was pushing Edge hard. In 2002 and 2004, he was really trying to get Edge to that next level. You know, and you could tell Triple H was resisting it. You know, he didn't want that shit. Yep, it was a one segment where Edge stood in the ring talking about he was going to destroy Evolution. I think he was still wearing a cast at the time too, and he was talking about he was going to destroy Evolution. He's going to beat everybody, and he said he's going to start with Randy Orton. And he had this really long Intercontinental Championship match. He had like a 40-minute match for Randy Orton, where he won the title from him, and then he immediately fell into obscurity after that. I don't think he ever even wrestled Batista. Well, he wrestled Batista in a triple threat match with Chris Jericho. That was at SummerSlam that year. He wrestled Randy Orton at Vengeance. That match was great. Edge went over. He wrestled Batista and Chris Jericho in a triple threat match in Canada at SummerSlam 2004. I believe Edge won that match too. But I believe that's when people started booing Edge, if I remember correctly. Then it kind of went off the rails after that. They found every reason in the world for him to not wrestle these guys anymore. He never really wrestled Triple H in that entire story. Then he got hurt again, and it was over for him. That was it. They used anything. You know, you would think that they considered Edge to be seen as top rival, but they never had a match at WrestleMania. Not even one. Can't believe they didn't make it. I always say, like, WWE has like the weirdest things where you will have a match and you'll be like, did that match actually occur? And you would say either A, it happened, but it happened one time, was super obscure and never happened again, or B, no, it never happened. Chris Jericho versus Undertaker. I think that match happened one time on an episode of SmackDown, and that was it. They didn't work a program against each other. You would think all the time Jericho and Undertaker ran the company together. They worked probably, I would think if you count the tag matches, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times, maybe. Like, Jericho was good enough to work an entire, like, 2 programs with Shawn Michaels. He didn't even get 1 program with Undertaker. They were in the company for 10 years together. He never worked together at all. Like, that's crazy that you could be that. It's like, that's insane, man. It's really weird that they would do stuff like that, but this WWE is Vince McMahon. He just don't do it, you know, for some reason. He just doesn't pull the trigger on that kind of stuff. So now you go years without knowing whether Edge and Triple H wrestled each other one-on-one, where it would have made perfect sense for them to do so. It's like Triple H has multiple matches with fucking Curtis Axel. He's got 2 matches with Edge. It's ridiculous. Yeah, like they were in. Like, it makes sense for Ray to never have wrestled John Cena or only wrestled once. They're both baby faces, and Jeff Hardy was in and out of the company at the time. So it makes sense why, you know, something like that would not occur. But I think Undertaker has had more matches with Rey Mysterio than he's had with Chris Jericho. You know, and it's like Jericho debuted in '99, man. Like, and I think if WG Phil is right, they had a match in 2010 on SmackDown. Yeah, it was Jericho and Undertaker. I remember that match. I remember it because it was like the only time it ever fucking happened. You know, so so I was like, wow, I can't believe Jericho and Undertaker never had a feud. It's so. I'm pretty sure if you brought that up to somebody, they'd be like, no, of course they did at some point, right? No, like people forgot that about that. I think they had one Undertaker versus Booker T match, one, and that's the one when Booker T played around like he was going to be fucking what's right on the tip of my tongue. But Booker T was doing voodoo or some shit. They had the one match. I still haven't seen that match either. I just know it happened. It happened on a pay-per-view. I didn't watch the pay-per-view though. But it was Booker T versus Undertaker. I want to watch that match too. I may watch it tonight. Give myself some homework. Says that Michaels versus Cena is actually pretty unpopular, though it was a great match. What do you mean it was unpopular? What does that mean? And which match? Because they had the WrestleMania match, which was pretty good. And then they topped that with that hour-long thing. I'm never watching that match again. I remember when that match happened. I was like, bro, will you please end this fucking match? You know, I don't look. Hour? Come on, man. Come on, bruh. But I'm pretty sure Jeff Hardy and Rey Mysterio did wrestle each other at some point in WWE. I don't know when it would have been, but I'm pretty sure they did wrestle each other. You know, not having a Shawn Michaels Rey Mysterio feud. I know they had two matches. I think Ray won, but well, I think Ray won. No, Ray won one of them. Shawn won the other one. But you know, like that's crazy. Yeah, Booker T. I never seen that Judgment Day 2004 show. I never seen that show. What's the main event of that show? What was the main event of that Judgment Day 2004 show? That might be why I didn't watch it. No Mercy 01. No Mercy 01. Undertaker Russell Booker T at that show. But that's crazy. Like they were in that company together all that time. And it's also crazy how people who are normally pretty good, they don't have any chemistry. Like I never thought Undertaker and The Rock had chemistry at all. I might be the only person who thinks that they never really had good matches. I never really liked Undertaker's matches with Steve Austin either. I liked the SummerSlam 98 match though. But that's about the only one I actually did like. I didn't like most of his Lord of Darkness stuff. I wasn't a fan of it. I mean, the character was great, but his in-ring stuff was not good. It wasn't on the level of his later years, that's for sure. I mean, I think they did a good job though of not putting Cena in the ring against other baby faces, which is smart. You know, they always had a heel for him to work with. It's only in today's world where the champion wrestles another baby face 100 fucking times. Jeff versus Shane would have been fun. I think that would have been nutty. You know what? Now that you mentioned it, Lord Kratos, I don't think Edge and JBL ever wrestled each other. Now, he probably wrestled Bradshaw in like the Attitude Era, but I don't think Edge and JBL ever feuded. It took them forever to do the JBL Shawn Michaels feud. I remember when I was a kid, the only time I ever saw those two in the ring together is when Shawn was the champion and he was wrestling John Bradshaw Layfield. Not John Bradshaw Layfield, it was Justin Hart Bradshaw. And it was on like an episode of Superstars. That was the only time I had ever seen those two guys in the same ring together. And then they had that pretty cool few years later when JBL was Shawn Michaels' secret sponsor because Michaels went broke, which was a great story. That was funny. It should have lasted longer. I don't know. I want to know what was the idea behind how they decided to choose Shane McMahon's opponents. Because there was a lot of matches that you would have think that would have naturally would have occurred that didn't. But you got some of the ones that, people would have expected, the Shawn and Shane. They could have done more against each other, I think. Shawn and Shane. That would have been great. Shane and Ray. Yeah. That would have been great too. And damn WWE, man, they'll have crazy shit, and guys will be on that fucking roster forever. They'll feud with the same guy 3 or 4 times, but there's another guy on the roster they haven't feuded with once, and it's only usually because they have the similar or same alignment. You'll never see the heels feud against each other. Randy Orton and JBL happened in a 4-way match at Backlash 04. They never wrestled solo. They never had a singles match. Orton and JBL. That's crazy. JBL was there since 1995. He hadn't had a match with Randy Orton the entire time. That's wild. 08. Okay, he must have wrestled then. Oh, it's Backlash 08. All right. Do you think we'll get Cross versus Edge? This is for Ninja. Probably not. I don't think so. They gotta get Cross over, and I think he could use a feud with Edge. That's for sure. He can certainly use it. He needs it in the worst way. I don't know what's up with Top Dog having this absolute boner for this Waller and Theory team. I hope he gets it. It's like the 22nd time he's posted about Waller and Theory being in a modern day DX. There is no modern day DX. What are they going to do? Sheamus and Edge had one segment, never had a match. Let's see, Edge retired in 2011. That's before they went on the Sheamus tear. Like, he was there in the company, but they weren't pushing Sheamus as being a top guy yet. So if it was going to happen, it'd have to happen now. Sheamus is another guy who never got the big dream matches either. He never got to wrestle Undertaker. Who else that Sheamus never wrestled that I think he probably should have? Did Sheamus have a feud with Rey Mysterio? I think he might have. Nope, Randy Orton never wrestled The Rock. They wrestled at WrestleMania in that tag match though, but they never had a singles match. Randy Orton is a guy who probably got dicked the most on that stuff that never happened. Like Brock and Randy didn't happen until that one match, and then they had Brock murder Randy and slice his head open. He never got a rematch for that either. Never got a rematch. But Randy Orton was the guy who got to wrestle Hulk Hogan, and he had to do a job. So he didn't really get over on that. But Randy Orton is the guy that, he never got to wrestle Bill Goldberg, So it's weird. Like, it's weird. You would think Randy Orton and Roman Reigns would be a top match for the company now. They don't act like it. Because it seemed like they would have done that match by now if they thought it was. But for some reason, they just don't think Randy can carry these matches, I guess. Sheamus and Brock in an Irish live event. Yeah, you would think they would, as much as they love Randy Orton, they would put him in more opportunities, but they don't. I think Randy Orton's going to sneak away into the darkness of a career, and everybody's going to be looking like, man, I can't believe Randy Orton never wrestled this guy, or he wrestled this guy in obscurity 10 years ago, and they never went back to it. When Sheamus returned with the rooster cut. Oh no. Boy. 2 hours and 30 minutes. All right. I wish Bobby Roode wasn't as old as he was. You know, I think that plays a big part in Triple H and Vince not pushing him. All right, y'all. It's 11:30. Had a long day. We're gonna do 2 more minutes. So please get in your final comments. Anything you want to say, anything you want to add. Please do not repeat yourself. I am thirsty. I'm going to drink water, but at 2:32, we're going to call it a day. Of course, AEW talent would be happy of her coming in temporarily until she got there with her attitude. Then who knows what the fuck is going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen then? When she go as something Britt Baker says, who is you and what do you do? DMD, and then everybody's gonna be like, this bitch, I want her out of here. They're gonna kick her ass outside, like Jazzy Jeff on Fresh Prince, or like that guy on Get on the Bus. They're gonna look at him and be like, niggas need cars like cars need niggas. They're gonna throw his ass out. Her luggage too. Like, get out of here. I could just see Sasha Banks fucking up everywhere else. She's gonna flip her hair and and you're gonna be like, oh no. Oh no. Oh yeah. Sasha Banks media scrum, being mad and unprofessional. Just She's either gonna walk all over Tony Khan and wipe her feet, her stilettos on his back, and be like basically a dominatrix, or she is not gonna be there longer than 6 months. And I can tell you that right now. There's only 2 ways I think it's gonna go. If she managed to get in AEW, it ain't gonna work out. It ain't gonna work. She's gonna rub people the wrong way. I think if Mercedes ends up in AEW, it's going to be sunshine and roses for the first 4 to 5 months. It's going to be great, because she's going to get whatever she wants. As long as that happens, everything's going to be fine. The moment she has to get told no, or the moment she isn't going to be able to get what she wants, it's going to be a problem. And Tony Khan is less adept to dealing with these problems than Vince or Triple H. And we're going to look at that situation and just say, what are you going to do with a high-value prospect that is completely and totally egotistical and will burn the house down while they're in it and cackling at the same time? What would you do? Like, she's worse than CM Punk, in my opinion, because CM Punk at least wanted to help other people. I don't think Sasha wants to help other people. I think she just wants to be who she is. And I think her ego is out of control. I don't think she wants to, trample others. I don't think she's like a villain. But I don't think she gives a fuck if other people don't. I think she needs opponents, and that's how far she's going to think about it. I need to have opponents, so you got to make sure people stay over so I can wrestle them. But that's no further than that, you know. But I don't think she would go to AEW anyway. You know, I just don't think it's something that's really in the cards for her because they don't have a strong women's division, you know. And she's a woman, and she'll probably be able to. Again, she'll go if she could wipe her feet on Tony Khan. So she'll be like, if you make me world champion, then maybe we could do something, you know, whatever. And I'm not talking about women's world champion. I'm talking about men's world champion. Oh yeah, that's a combustible situation right there. Sasha Banks and Jade Cargill are either going to become friends and then fucking ruin the company, or they're going to be enemies and fucking ruin the company. One or the other, because the ego's too big. You got to limit the egos you got in the locker room. And I've always said Sasha Banks is basically girl Shawn Michaels. And, you know, she's in a different situation because Vince is a little bit older. And with her being female and everything, he probably feel like he didn't have to bend over backwards for her. But he gave Sasha Banks as much as he possibly could. A lot of leeway. And like I said, she ran away from home quite a few times. You know, but this time, everybody just kind of like let her do what she do. You know? But I think the fact that she's even going back to wrestling, you know, I think the fact that she's even going back to wrestling in general, period, anyway, tells you that, you know, she probably wants to wrestle, but it ought to be interesting. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't imagine, you know, fucking Sasha Banks running into Thunder Rosa and the amount of nonsense that would hit the wall almost immediately. Ugh. Look, the thing is, everybody hates Thunder Rosa, but they would probably side with Thunder Rosa over fucking Sasha, who would be coming in like she's fucking Hulk Hogan or something like that. Or her own dressing room, no yellow M&Ms, a bunch of other shit. She filed all those trademarks because she wants to own her shit, just in case she doesn't get what she wants and has to leave WWE. All this stuff is just a marketing stuff. She's just basically teasing and teasing and teasing, telling people that she got options. That's what you do when you're in negotiations. You show that you have options that other people are interested. It's no different than if a girl is mad at her boyfriend, right? And she'll just post pictures of her hanging out with a bunch of other people, having fun, smiling and shit. Meanwhile, she's really kind of miserable. You know, she just wants you to think that she's out having fun, enjoying life and everything. If you think, well, you can think whatever you want about her going to AEW. You know, I wouldn't put my money on it. But if you're a richer man than me, shoot your shot. Okay. I would personally look more towards the Royal Rumble for her return. The Royal Rumble is after Wrestle Kingdom, because Royal Rumble is near the end of the month. Wrestle Kingdom was on January the 4th. So she could definitely go wrestle in Japan and then come back to the United States. It wouldn't be a problem as long as she doesn't get hurt. So I would look more for if she doesn't pop up at the Royal Rumble, she probably won't be coming back. But that doesn't mean she's going to AEW. She might want to start a podcast. Might want to start a YouTube channel or something like that. That's the reason why she files all these trademarks, so she can own all of this stuff, so she'll have options and things to do. You know, so she won't have to go back to wrestling, kicking and screaming for whatever money WWE is willing to offer her. If she can say, well, they don't want me back for my price, I'll just start a podcast and I'll tell stories of everything that happened backstage and I'll talk about the walkout and I'll do this and I'll do that. or she has other businesses that she might want to get involved with. She has an acting career that she wants to get involved with. Ugh. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine her being in the same locker room with Sammy Guevara. Jesus Christ. Oof. I'll just see. The thing is, man, when you're running a team, you have to know about the players. And I think you put Sasha Banks in there, man, Mercedes, or whatever they're calling her. You're asking for it. You're begging for it at that point, dog. Because I say the first time she bump heads with somebody, it's gonna be ugly. She gonna either get her way, or she gonna have a boo-boo face for the rest of that time there. Now, I think if AJ Lee didn't come back to AEW, then I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think Sasha Banks and Shawn Michaels, 97, probably would be sharing drugs, and she'd probably be like his version of Sunny. They'd probably get along far too well. And I think that's probably part of what's going on with Sasha Banks, by the way. That's just me. Because she's taking all these pictures. I don't see her husband nowhere. And I learned that one from the crew, the people who are paying attention. Like, where is that girl's husband? Husband, nowhere to be found. In any picture, anywhere. It's almost like she's scared of the fucking guy. I don't even think she even wears a wedding ring in any of these pictures now, does she? I don't know when the last time I saw her hands, but I don't think she even wears a wedding ring in any of these pictures. And the benefits is cocaine, Lord Kratos. The benefits is cocaine, man. All right. That's crazy. A lot of people don't know that Sasha Banks is married. She's married to like a hairdresser or something like that. She married her like a hairdresser or a designer or something like that. But it's always been the same with these women though, man. You had China, who all of a sudden said that she should make the same amount of money as Stone Cold Steve Austin, Wendy Richter. I should be making the same money as Hulk Hogan. It's like, what is wrong with these women? Where do they come from with this nonsense? But it's there, and now you got Sasha Banks, who wants to be girl Roman Reigns. I don't get it. I don't get none of that stuff. I don't know where any of it comes from. My only guess is that Sasha Banks feels maybe that flaunting that she's married will damage the simp bucks, and all the simps won't want to give her money, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't stop all the Twitch whores from getting paid. So why wouldn't she tell everybody that she's married? Like, why is she hiding her husband? I know the answer to that. Ain't none of your business. Ain't none of your business. I get it. I'm just saying. I wouldn't want my wife to be, the topic of discussion all the time, and I'm nowhere around to see what's going on, at all, period. To even just take a picture with her. I can't even be that guy. Wait a minute, what you say? What's this here? He says Sasha Banks has these massage yoga videos with this big dude stretching her out in very kinky positions. Huh. Oh, well, it's that kind of party. That kind of party, huh? Yeah, something tells me, and that was something that I heard a lot about when she first started having her troubles, when she left or whatever. People were saying that oh, you talking about the stretchy vids, DMAC, where they was being stretched out by that guy? Oh yeah. See, I didn't know about the stretchy vids. I didn't know nothing about that. But I don't know. It's like at least Naomi has a good excuse. Her husband is out on the road. Maybe Sasha Banks' husband is out on the road too. Maybe. You know, maybe he's traveling to SmackDown to Raw and all that kind of stuff. He's on the road. He's not around. That would make sense. It wouldn't make sense why she's not wearing her wedding ring, but it would make sense why he's not in the pictures. But I don't know, man. I heard a lot of gossip about. I don't believe gossip really, but when you don't have any information, it's really all you have to go off of. But a lot of people were saying that the Sasha Banks stuff was based off of things not going right in her personal life. And I was kind of like, and that's when it was brought to my attention that she had no pictures with her husband on social media. She's not wearing a ring in most of these pictures. And people are like, even if you are trying to be private to a degree, all of her fans know that she's married. Why isn't she at least wearing a wedding ring? And and these guys are like stretching your wife, like bending her. I'm just kind of like, okay. Go for it. I don't even know the guy's name. I just know he works for WWE. It's gonna be a baton. It carries a big stick, a ball and chain too. Gonna be serving some hard time. No, that was the back cracking guy for Jade Cargill, because there was a massage guy and he was cracking the back of like Shotzi and Natalia and Jade Cargill. She did that. That's not even I don't think that's what we're talking about here. That's a different guy. I've seen those videos of like the dude talking to like Shotzi and trying to crack her back, and it was another woman too, who was getting her back cracked and all that kind of stuff. Like the chiropractor. That's not the videos that we were talking about. We're talking about the yoga guy. That's different. I'm pretty sure that's a different thing. I don't know what's going on in those videos, man. I don't know what was up with those. But I know they need to stop it. They need to stop. They need to stop it. They're really, at least put on your fucking wedding ring. All right. At least put on your wedding ring, please. I mean, goddamn. Cut everybody some slack. I don't know, man. Sasha Banks is up to no good all the time. But like I said, that was kind of the gossip from the beginning, is that she was involved, or at least not that involved in her. And people just talk about how often she was going partying without her husband, without her wedding ring, and all that kind of stuff. And I was just kind of like, yeah, that it makes sense, but what can you do really? There's not much you could do about that. These flexibility videos is pretty ill, man. I'm telling you. These videos are ill. I don't know what the guy's name is. Is it Bo Hightower? I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking so too. I'm thinking they're probably not even married anymore. but they don't feel like they need to talk about it. I know it's a tough thing for people to go through divorces and stuff like that. That dude does look like Suge Knight a little bit. And he got him in the downward doggy position. I'm looking at the video right now, by the way. I wish I could put it up on the screen so people who haven't seen it. Matter of fact, I may add it to the community tab so people will actually know what we're talking about when they get to this part. But yeah, this guy is stretching her all the way out, bro. It looks so weird. Yoga, I'm sure, right? Naomi's in these videos too, but Naomi's wearing clothes and stuff. Like she's wearing like pants. You know, like Sasha Banks is not wearing pants. I don't know who Hightower is. I have no idea who these people are. So I'm just sitting here looking like, who is this guy? And it's perfectly fine. It looks professional. I mean, she's in the room with Naomi, so I'm pretty sure nothing happened in that room. And plus, he's like a really big guy. But I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, where the fuck is her husband in any part of her life at this point? You know? And even if it wasn't the case, it's just one of those things where I was saying to myself, it would explain a lot. But at the end of the day, it's none of my business. You know? It's just interesting. It's just interesting. And plus, I could be 100% off. So it is what it is. Just when I remember seeing that yoga video and saying to myself, bruh, not me. Not me. All right. I'm not about to do that. You call me insecure all you want, but you're not about to be in here with your crotch pointed at my wife's crotch. Hightower was the guy cracking the backs. Okay, yeah, so there was also a female masseuse who was doing the back cracking videos. Married and quote unquote, she's quote unquote married. Alleged married. She's allegedly married. Who knows? But like I said, people always go through stuff. They go through stuff silently. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to go through it personally and publicly. Like when Bray Wyatt got divorced, he disappeared for a long time because he went through that divorce. He got sued and a bunch of shit happened. You know, that's just the nature of the business sometimes, man. You go through all kind of personal shit. The wrestling media is a little bit kinder than the average media. The sports media is all up in your business. You know, they all up in the Giselle, Tom Brady divorce. They all up in that. You know, the wrestling media don't typically get that deep into it. You know, they don't typically go all the way with that. Eric Mack, man, I've been trying to end this fucking live for 50 minutes, dog. I've been trying to end this thing for like an hour now. But we keep finding interesting shit to talk about. And he fell into this rabbit hole of Sasha Banks and these fucking yoga videos. And I'm just sitting, I had to look at the goddamn video because I had to remind myself of why I felt like it was so inappropriate. And then I looked at it and I was like, yeah, this is not something I would want. And it was better than I remember because at least there is someone else right there. But you know, I'm just kind of like, well, hold up. Especially if they were bent all the way over. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the community tab so everybody can see it. It's her and Naomi bent over in the yoga pose. It's something. It's a sight to see. Let's post it right now. Go to the community tab and see Naomi, Sasha Banks Yoga. There's going to be a link to a Twitter account. That's where you're going to be able to see the video. Look, man, it's the business, dog. It's the wrestling business. Yes, everybody's going to try to fuck your wife. It is. That's the nature of the business. That's the nature of the business that you. It's the nature of life in general. You have a wife. You have a wife. Somebody's trying to fuck her. I mean, it is what it is. It's sad but true. You got a wife. Somebody's trying to bang her. You know. Just don't. You can't lock her to the chain her to the radiator though. Same Black Snake Moan. Gotta let her be free. She gonna do what she gonna do, dog. You got no choice. You gotta let her go. All right. I'm really done now because I'm getting dizzy. I gotta use the bathroom. I appreciate everybody who hung around, man. This is almost 3 hour stream. I don't understand how guys like they can stream for like 4 hours or like 6 hours or whatever. I don't know. Usually about 2.5. I'm like, rrr. Is it true Triple H had a thing for Christy Hemme? I don't know. I heard Vince did. Lord Kratos says he might as well have bought up some cuffs and a bad cop costume for her. You know, how about a maid costume? Or just some lingerie and a little what? I'm not going to even play this whole Vince McMahon was fucking woman thing. I'm not going to go into that. That's a little too sleazy for me. All right. Thank you guys for your time. Hopefully you liked the video already. If you're still here, hit the like button, please. Share the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.